It's a lovely, crisp Friday evening under the lights at the AJ Bell Stadium. If you haven't been on this ride with us before, strap yourselves in and put Grandma in the scullery. Give her a sherry. This is Sale Sharks Live. Hello everybody at home, welcome to the AJ Bell Stadium. It is absolutely gorgeous here tonight. It's not that cold, Chris, is it?
It's reasonably cold, Colin. Good evening.
I'm joined by Chris Malaband as always, and luckily enough, at home we have, with the power of magic, Chris, Ollie and Hammers. Are they there yet? There's Ollie. How are we doing, Ollie? Are you okay, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Gutted not to be there, but looking forward to a great game from the comfort of my own living room.
And then hopefully we've got Hammers as well.
You certainly do.
There he is, there's Hammers. Listen, I'm going to leave Chris to chat to you, Hammers, whilst I run down the stand to speak to Deeks. Chris, you have a chat with Hammers.
Simon, good evening. Great to have you with us again on Sale Sharks Live. I guess the first question on the minds of Sharks fans tonight, how's the hamstring injury coming along?
Yeah, it's going quite well. I ran for the first time yesterday. So it's looking at a couple of weeks of running rehab and then hopefully be back fit, aiming for the Leicester game when the Prem returns after the Champions Cup.
Are you a good watcher, Simon, or are you someone who always wishes that they were out there and back on the field of play and finds it difficult to watch a game that you're not participating in?
I think it kind of depends. When it's for an injury, I think I'm quite good at sort of knowing you've got 6-7 weeks out. You almost not switch off from rugby completely, but focus on your body a bit more and the team dynamic. And then I think as it gets closer to playing, you're obviously kind of raring to go. So now I've been running, it kind of feels like hopefully it's not too much longer and can get back out there.
Excellent. Well, good to hear that you might be ready for the Leicester fixture in a couple of weeks' time down at Welford Road. And down at pitchside at the moment, we have Paul Deacon, Sale Sharks' interim head coach, and he is with Colin to look forward to tonight's game.
Great, thanks. Sorry for butting in there, guys. I'm with Deeks. Thanks for seeing us. I know we really want to get you back in there. And how's it gone this week with the lads? How's it been?
Yeah, it's been good. Nice to get sort of my first win, if you like, in charge in last week. Give the lads some confidence. But yeah, we've had a good week. We're still striving to improve.
That snow not bothered you at all during training in the week? I saw lots of shoveling going on.
Yeah, some of the staff worked really hard to get one of the training sessions on. So yeah, we've all mucked in really well.
Johnny Liotta was posting how proud he was of all his snow movements. Big expectations for you today. What's big wins for you today? What are you expecting to see the most? What would be a big victory for you? Not necessarily the scoreline, but particularly how the lads played. What for you would be the big thing?
We're just trying to build. We're trying to improve in every area, but we want to make less errors and keep the pressure on our opposition a little bit more. So, big focus area for us this tonight is to keep the pressure on Worcester, and hopefully they'll crack before we do.
Yeah, pressure's good. We love pressure, don't we? Just to add one final quick message for everybody at home that's watching. We'd love them to be here. It's a shame that they're not. How does that feel? Is there anything that you can say from your point of view about the fans?
Hey, we'd love them to be here as well. The players are definitely missing the support. That's one great thing about playing professional sport is the fans, and unfortunately we've not had them in here for a long time, and we've lost our last 2 games here, so I think we mentioned that during the week, and hopefully we can get a good win tonight for the supporters.
Well, we've got them at home, we've got them shouting down our ears, we've got them on Zoom, we've got them everywhere watching, so hopefully they'll make enough noise for us. Listen, we'll let you go because they're ready for you, but thank you very much for taking some time out for us before.
Cheers, no
appreciate
problem. Cheers,
much appreciated. Thank you very much. So, it's great to get that kind of access and stuff here at Sale Sharks Live. We want to hear from you at home, so if you're there at home today, get a picture, show us what's your pre-match routine. They've got one, let's see what yours is, yeah, and send them in. Tweet, Facebooks, all the social medias, all the comments, we want to hear it. Any shout outs you want, wherever you're watching in the world today, let us know, and Chris, Ollie and Hammers will give you shout outs during the game as well, which we love. Anyway, on to the week, on to preparation. Ollie managed to catch up with Ben Curry this week as well. He managed to, from the comfort of his home on Zoom. We've got a little quick interview. Let's take a look.
First of all, how's your injury? How's it coming along?
Really well. So I had my 2-week post-op with the surgeon this week, and he said it couldn't be any better. And he said I owe James the physio a few beers. So really good news. And kind of now the next couple of weeks for me is kind of pushing it on. So getting that range to above my, literally as the other one, and then post that strength back for 4 weeks. So yeah, it's kind of everything's staged at the moment. It's looking positive. So really happy with it.
So you're thinking maybe February, March time is the time to try?
I'm not putting any dates on it because, like I said, it's going well now. But I could have a couple, like the surgeon said, like you'll have good days and bad days with it. It's just not forcing it on the bad days and kind of like I've got no rush. I'm using this opportunity to improve myself. And like the last 4 or 5 years, I haven't really had a chance to like a decent break, so kind of build muscle, get fitter, faster, stronger. So it's kind of like it's a perfect opportunity. I'm quite looking forward to what these next couple of months have for me.
So what kind of stuff are you doing then at the moment that you, as you said, you aren't usually able to do?
So I'm doing legs every day. So yeah, my legs are constantly knackered. I did my upper body like mobility, so mobility in my left shoulder. Then tomorrow it's kind of like more progressively adding weight, not weight, but like weight bearing. So I got told I might be doing a press up on my knees tomorrow, which is quite exciting for me.
I don't know how much you're around the other lads at the minute. What's the mood been like in camp sort of the last couple of weeks coming out of the European stuff and then back into the Premiership where we've had a loss and then the win obviously on Saturday?
Really good. Obviously, it's a transitional period. I don't think there's no denying that. Everyone knows what's happened, but as a group of players, it's sort of kind of these last couple of weeks we're trying to take responsibility. I think there's a lot's been said about obviously what's happened. But for us, it's taking responsibility of the performances on the pitch and what we can control, and that's how we react to situations. And not feeling sorry for ourselves. It's kind of like we've got this win now. It's about building momentum.
Did Saturday feel like quite a big result, considering, I'm sure in the group there wasn't necessarily a worry, but that outside pressure, people saying perhaps, you haven't won under Deeks. Did that feel like a big result to get to then push forward into 2021?
It's a start, and I think for anything, it's just I'm most happy for Deeks. He's a really good coach. And it's a massive opportunity for him. So I think probably those Europeans, it's hard for me to say because I haven't been playing, so I don't want to comment on players' performances, but I feel like we've let him down a bit there. I don't think it's just me who thinks that. He's put in a lot of work, and I think we owe him a lot. And I think that was the start of what we can do for him and build as a club.
Do you sort of feel a responsibility, I suppose, going back to August as well, since you started with everything going on to try and if you deliver a win for the fans, because you think might be hard at home because of lockdown and all that. Is that the kind of thing you speak about in camp at all?
Definitely. I think obviously everyone's going through a lot and it's affecting people in a lot of different ways. So I think for us to even add a small amount of joy to people's lives, whether it be the way we play, getting wins, it's kind of like it's the small things that matter at the moment, I think. And like I said, we can probably add to that, and we want to. The
rest of the season then, sort of for yourself, I suppose, is it just a case of getting back as soon as you can, as you said, not putting a time frame on it, and then just going from there?
It's not about getting back as quickly as possible for me. I've made that mistake before with my ankle, and it doesn't end well. Kind of you feel great and then something happens. So for me, it's getting back as best as you can. It's not about the speed, it's about the quality. And I think with something as major as the shoulder operation, I think it's about the quality. Otherwise, you'll just end back in square one. I think if you do it again after the surgery, I think that's what happened with Lude, and then it's another 9 months out. So for me, it's not speed, it's quality.
So, it's important to stay hydrated, Chris, really. I think you don't want to get on the wrong side of the water team here at South. Welcome back, everybody. That was interesting from Ben. It's really great to see the lads down at Carrington working so hard and things like that as well. And actually, what I've noticed during that VT, when I was clambering up the stands there, and I definitely need to go to the gym myself, but there seems to be a ferocity there Chris, in that warm-up there seems to be more noise coming from the lads. I think there's something happening here. Do you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was interesting that Ben said that he felt, and the players had felt, that they'd let Paul Deacon down a bit in some of in Paul's early games. Clearly they hadn't won before that victory at Gloucester, and as Ollie was saying to him in the interview there, I think it was an important moment for the team to win. It's always a huge pressure off the shoulders of an interim coach or a full-time coach to get that first win, and with Worcester in town tonight, a team who traditionally don't travel well, or a second bottom in the table, then I'm sure in that dressing room and in that warm-up area there's lots of conversation saying we've got that first win, we've gone down to Gloucester and won, we've got every chance of backing it up tonight.
Ollie, did you get a sense of that as well whilst you were interviewing him, that you felt the same way, that there is an urgency now to get a good result tonight?
Oh, absolutely, Colin. I think obviously Ben's not involved in the group as much at the minute with his injury, but I'm sure he's still involved in those senior players team meetings and all that, and given his perspective on what's gone on in the last couple of weeks. And I think, as Chris said, obviously the results when Deeks first came in didn't quite go to plan, but the performances have been improving, and there's another chance to do so tonight against a Worcester side that been a bit inconsistent. They haven't won since the opening day on the pitch. They didn't play last week because of COVID issues, so a real chance tonight.
I think as well, I mean, Hammer's coming back from injury. Players must be desperate to get back really quick, and there must be an urgency to do really well. And so for yourself, I mean, you obviously wanted to get back across that whitewash as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I think I agree with what Ben said to a certain extent. You've got to be, there's no point coming back and getting re-injured in a long season, especially this year where there's no Prem Cup, there's going to be back-to-back Prem European games. So the physios, it's a great team at Sale with the doctors, physios, and they do a great job. They sort of plan it out and give you a bit of a, if everything goes well, this is what we're aiming for. If we get minor setbacks, we can readdress it. So I think everyone's working to get back as quickly as possible, but like Ben said, you want to be in the best shape and injury fully ready to go.
Now obviously Hammers is in a really good position here, because what we have scientific evidence that being a commentator analyst here at Sharks Live gets you back quicker and better and helps you score tries on your first game back from injury.
Is this from a statistically significant sample of one, Colin?
One,
okay.
But it's got to start somewhere. So, but what was fantastic last week was Josh Bowman scoring that try, yeah?
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, Josh has kindly helped us out on co-coms, as you say, Colin, a few times here on Sharks Live. Always great to have him on. But in some senses, it was sad that we had him on as much because it was such a long injury layoff, best part of 14 months. But to come off the bench and then to score the winning try, in the case of just a few minutes, it's a real fairy tale return for Josh. And I think interesting listening to him this week in the press conference saying how conversations with his dad had really helped him to get back, because Bill had to retire at 29 in 1982 and he didn't want Josh, and Josh didn't want to retire young as well, and Josh is only a year or so younger than that now. So great to have Josh back at number 8 tonight. First time he's played that position for a long time for Sale, so it'd be great to see how he goes over what could be a full 80 minutes.
It's cracking. Great stats there, by the way, pulling that information out. That's why you're here. I don't have that kind of rugby knowledge. So on the subject of Josh, luckily Sam had a chat with him at Carrington during the week as well, so we've got a little bit about Josh and his recovery and his first game back. Just take a look.
So Josh, it was great to see you back against Gloucester after 14 months out and score the match-winning try as well. Must have been a special moment.
Yeah, as I say, it's just awesome to be firstly back out on the pitch with the lads. It's been a pretty long process, pretty long rehab process, 14 months. I think 3 operations and then throwing a couple of lockdowns as well kind of slowed everything up a bit. So yeah, it was a frustrating time, but just on Saturday it was obviously the type of game it was perfect for me to come on, and because as a forward you were straight involved. It was a tight game, pretty attritional affair, and yeah, just lucky to be in the right place at the right time and then pop up with a try late on. And I think it was a real crucial win for us, just on the back of a couple of disappointing defeats, to finally to get a win and hopefully now build some momentum.
Absolutely, yeah. And you mentioned 14 months out. It must have been a hell of an injury. How did you actually manage to do it?
Yeah, so I ruptured my patella tendon. It was back in against Wasps, I think, at home in November 2019 now, I think. So yeah, a long time ago, and I just did it jumping in a line out. It was pretty innocuous, but yeah, ruptured the tendon, and then it's quite a complicated injury really. And he picked up an infection as well post-operation, and that set me back a month. Then we went into lockdown, which obviously didn't have access to physios, to weights at the club, so it was that kind of slowed the thing up, and then I needed another operation as a clear out, so it was massively frustrating, and you go through so many ups and downs throughout that time, and so that's why it was made kind of extra special to be back out there on Saturday and kind of worthwhile all those hard hours you put in.
And what was the toughest thing about being on the sidelines for so long? Were there any specific mental or physical challenges you faced?
Yeah, I think I found it really tough around March, at the start of March time, end of Feb, when it was so good to see that when we picked up those wins over that period and the momentum, and we're building into a Premiership Cup final, and they're the moments, they're the games you want to be playing in, and I think just being around the lads, it's really tough when you're injured, because you just don't quite feel part of it, even though you're in here every day training and rehabbing, but just missing those game days really, and that feeling in the change room after, like it was on Saturday, it's those moments that you miss.
So we need to make sure we plough on this year and make up for the lost time you had. Talking of this season, we've had a pretty good start. Got Worcester at home this weekend. What do you think they'll bring, and what do we need to work on coming in from the Gloucester game?
Well, I think over the past few years, especially going away there the last couple of seasons, games I've played in, and they bring a huge amount of physicality, and I think they try and match in that area. They probably see that as the strength of ours, and they come in firing, and once they get the ball in hand, they like to go through the phases, and attacking wise, they're a threat. So I think we need to shut that down defensively. We probably need to keep hold of the ball a bit more to show what we can do in attack, and we know it's going to be the conditions. It's going to be cold. It might be a bit greasy out there. So at this time of the year, it might be attritional again. But we just got to keep doing what we did on Saturday. Really try and win the territory battle, and front up like we did last week.
And just finally, Josh, what are your sort of personal goals just after coming back from the injury and getting back into the side now? So what things are sticking out for you, and things are you going to be working on?
I think I've just still got to get up to that match fitness almost, just get a run of games together, because I think it's you can do as much of the conditioning as you want out there, but just to try and cement my position in this Sale team, I've obviously been out a long time, so, and there's a probably greater depth of squad there, so more competition, which is great. So I think just to try and get more minutes under my belt and play well, and then keep my position and move on from there.
So great stuff from Josh there. He really explained why coming back, and that urgency is coming back, and taking the time but wanting to come back quick. Just a couple of shout outs actually. Firstly, big shout out to our South Africa contingent. There's a lot of South Africans watching at the moment, so big hello to you. We've also got a shout out to Cheryl, a fab nurse currently suffering at the moment, God bless her. Fingers crossed for a quick recovery, Cheryl. Thank you very much. Yeah, definitely rest up, Cheryl. You definitely deserve a break. Chappers, can you wish my sister Sally Chapman a happy 50th birthday? Happy birthday to you. We are definitely global. Wherever you are in the world today, make sure you give us a shout, just as we're watching the lads come together for Patterns, actually. Big matchups today, Chris. What jumps out of the team sheet for you?
Yeah, I think two probably. Half back and the back rows, Colin, I would probably struggled a little bit this season. So is my microphone. Now it's working again. Worcester have struggled a bit this season, but they've certainly got a lot of experience at half back. So they've got Francois Hougaard at number 9, who's going to come up against Faf de Klerk, 2 South African internationals, 46 caps for Hougaard. De Klerk, the man in possession of the jersey for the Springboks right now, so they'll know each other very well. So quality match up there at number 9. Duncan Weir at outside half against AJ McGinty. Duncan Weir starting all 3 matches for Scotland in the series recently in the Autumn Nations Cup, so he's a man who's still very much in the international scene. I think if you look in the back rows for Worcester, Ted Hill is a player who's kind of gone back in the England pecking order a bit just because of the embarrassment of riches that Eddie Jones has got in the back row. But he made his England debut very young. He's still only 21. He's Worcester's captain. And Matt Kovacic on the open side is a quality player as well, who's played for Exeter and Gloucester as well as Worcester. So up against them, of course, Tom Curry, Josh Beaumont and Jono Ross for Sale. So a good battle in the back rows, a good battle of half-back. But if you look through the 2-15s, Sale will look at this team and say, this is a match we ought to be winning at home tonight.
Just before we go back to Hammers on Ollie, we're going to go to Josh, and Josh is going to give us the full team sheet as we go. Here you go, Josh.
So it's time to look at tonight's team, starting with the away side, Worcester Warriors. At the back, number 15, Chris Pannell. Number 14, Perry Humphries. Number 13, Ollie Morris. Number 12, Ashley Beck. Number 11, Nick David. Number 10, Duncan Weir. And number 9, Francois Huard. And the forwards for Worcester Warriors, number 1, Ethan Waller. Number 2, Niall Annett. Number 3, Nick Schoner. Number 4, Anton Bresler. Number 5, Justin Clegg. Number 6, the captain, Ted Hill. Number 7, Matt Kovacic. Number 8, Marco Mama. And the substitutes tonight for Worcester Warriors, number 16, Isaac Miller. Number 17, Mark Thomas. Number 18, Richard Palframan. Number 19, George Merrick. Number 20, Cornell Dupria. Number 21, Sam Lewis. Number 22, Gareth Simpson. And number 23, Jamie Shilcock. And for Sale Sharks this evening, the backs, number 15, Sam James. Number 14, Tom Roebuck. Number 13, Rob Dupria. Number 12, Sam Hill. Number 11, Marlon Yard. Number 10, AJ McGinty. And number 9, Faf de Klerk. And the forwards for Sale Sharks this evening, number 1, Bevan Rod. Number 2, Akker van der Merwe. Number 3, Coney Oosthuizen. Number 4, Cobus Visa. Number 5, JP Dupria. Number 6, the captain, John O'Ross. Number 7, Tom Curry. And number 8, Josh Beaumont. And the substitutes for Sale Sharks, number 16, Curtis Langdon. Number 17, Valerie Morozov. Number 18, Jake Cooper-Woolley. Number 19, James Phillips. Number 20, Sam Dugdale. Number 21, Will Cliff. Number 22, Luke James. And number 23, Byron McGuigan. And tonight's referee is Wayne Barnes.
That's great. Thank you very much, Josh. Some great, tasty matchups there. Hammers, what stands out for you as a good matchup today? What would you be keeping your eye on today's game?
I agree with Chris about the back row. I think, Matt Kovacic versus Tom Curry, they're both great stealers of the ball, and Wayne Barnes usually lets sort of the ruck, really, the defensive team really have a go at the ball. So at 7, that's a great matchup. And then I always like to look at the back threes. Chris Pennell hasn't played for a while for Worcester, but he's a top quality operator. And then if we look at the wings, Tommy Roebuck unfortunately didn't get too many touches against Gloucester, but he's a real dangerous young guy, great athlete for Sale, and hopefully he can get a bit more ball. And with him and Yardy, Yardy's on some fine try-scoring form at the moment. So I think hopefully they'll give Perry Humphries and Nick David a tough day at the office.
Great, thank you, Simon. That's brilliant. See, what's so great about this is that we get that kind of insight from players that know what they're talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about, and that's why he's there to tell us that. And you're going to be able to put your questions to Hammers throughout the whole game, Chris and Ollie too. So make sure you get yourself on your socials, tell all your friends, share it as much as possible, turn the volume down on BT Sport and listen to Chris and Ollie. Now, just before Chris is going to go up to the commentary position, Ollie's going to put another log on the wood burner and Simon's going to get another cup of tea. We caught up with the skipper, Jono, during the week and asked him about the game. Here's what he had to say.
So Jono, great win at King's Own at the weekend. It was just an all-round physical battle. A lot of things we've been working on came together. Line-up was much improved. Forwards really stuck in it, and there's obviously a few talking points, but what was it like being in the game itself?
Yeah, I think it's always a lot more calm when you're actually playing yourself. I've unfortunately been out for 2 weeks and it's a hell of a lot more nerve-wracking sort of sitting and watching than it is actually playing. I think it's something we've spoken about in the last sort of couple of weeks, is just handling those tough moments in games, and at times there was tough moments. Obviously I got yellow carded, which was disappointing. We then went down 16-6, I think, 10 points behind, and maybe in the past 3 weeks we would have sort of suffered under that, but we seem to stick at it and stay calm and bring it back. So a lot of credit's got to go to what we spoke about in the week and to the players who stuck at it during the game.
It was great to see Josh Beaumont back and scoring a winning try as well. What do you think he can bring, just with the injuries we've got and a couple of suspensions? Do you think it's a really important time for him to be coming back into the fold?
Yeah, definitely. I think firstly Bo's been through a really hard time with his knee, and I think people don't understand a guy being off for 14 months, how long that is, and what he's had to go through, and with lockdowns and stuff was hard enough as it is. So to have that lingering over his head as well, massive head up to him for that, and I couldn't be happier for him as well. And to score the winning try is absolutely unbelievable. But he just brings that cool head, that seniority, a bit of a senior player who knows, been there, done it, knows how to do it, and definitely a shoulder that I lean on, and really helps the team to have him back.
And just touching on Worcester tomorrow night, we always seem to struggle against them at Six Ways. We're a real gritty side. What do you think they're going to bring tomorrow night?
Yeah, they're physical. They're a big physical team, but when the game gets a bit loose, they can play good rugby. They've got some really dangerous players. Ollie Lawrence. They've got Ted Hill. They've got some players within the team that are some of the best players in the country. So we know that they're a great team. As you said, we've struggled against them a lot of times. So we know we're up for it, up against it tomorrow night. They're a quality team, but we'll try and back up performance. Something we've spoken about. We were stopping inconsistent, win one, lose one. We really want to try and back up the performance we put against Gloucester.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the AJ Bell Stadium for this evening's Gallagher Premiership match. Sale Sharks off under Paul Deacon with that victory at Kingsholm last week. This is the opportunity for them to back it up tonight against a Worcester side who haven't won in 5 games. But there's plenty of experience in Alan Solomons' squad, and with the appointment this week of Jonathan Thomas as their new head coach, perhaps some additional motivation for the travelling Warriors. This, though, will be a game at home which Sale will fancy their chances in, and if they can win it, they can further make their mark at the top of the table. Sale 4th going into this one, could move up to joint 2nd with a bonus point win. Well, just one change from the Sale side who won down at Kingsholm. Josh Beaumont coming in at number 8. He gets his opportunity to start in that position for the first time since October 2019. Dan Dupree cited after the shoulder hit at Kingsholm. He will miss the next 3 weeks. And with his brother Jean-Luc also out, having been cited a couple of weeks earlier, a vacancy existed at number 8 and in comes Beaumont to fill it. So that change means that it's a team full of continuity for Paul Deacon. Can Sale continue to find their formulas at home at the AJ Bell on a chilly but decent night for rugby? It has been a little bit snowy in these parts earlier today, but the pitch in excellent condition and just a few areas of bare grass around about the 5 metre line at one end. The only thing you would say, otherwise an excellent green surface here for running rugby. The Sale team in full tonight. Sam James continues at fullback, his 4th consecutive start. Tom Roebuck on the right wing, Marlon Yard on the left. Rob Dupree and Sam Hill paired at centre again. AJ McGinty at standoff. Faf de Klerk yet again starts at number 9. Bevan Rodd and Cooney Oosthuizen are the props. Akker van der Merwe hooks. Cobus Visa in the second row with JP Dupree. John O'Ross, the skipper, joins Tom Curry and Josh Beaumont in the back row. Worcester Warriors see Chris Pannell come in at fullback for his first Premiership start of the season. Masses of experience from the Warriors veteran who's been in these parts since 2007, a true club legend. Perry Humphreys and Nick David are on the wings. Ollie Morris comes in for Ollie Lawrence in the centre. He's out with a shoulder injury. He's paired with Ashley Beck. Duncan Weir and Francois Hugard are at half-back. The props are Ethan Waller and Nick Shonert. Niall Annett will hook. Anton Bresler and Justin Clegg are the second rows. Ted Hill captains the Warriors from blindside flanker. Matt Kovacic is on the open side. Marco Mama is at number 8. Worcester tonight will play in their change strip of all light blue with white trim. And Sale run out now in their familiar all dark blue kit. Alongside me tonight, virtually that is, via Zoom, we have Ollie Lathrope and Simon Hammersley. Good evening to you, Simon.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having me again.
Great to have you with us once more as part of Sharks Live, and good evening, Ollie.
Good evening, Chris. Looking forward to this one, albeit from home, but it should be a great game.
Well, we're here from Simon and from Ollie throughout the 80 minutes, and as Colin McKevitt was saying, in the run-up to kick-off, please get involved through all the social media channels. We've got Carrie and the team keeping across all of your activity on the socials in the background, and Ollie will bring those to life for us throughout the game. And if you've got questions for Simon Hammersley, please don't hesitate to ask them, and we'll try and ask as many as we can through the next 80 minutes or so. Wayne Barnes is our man in the middle tonight in the familiar Gallagher pink shirts that the referees have. And the two assistant referees are Paul Dix and Jamie Leahy, as Duncan Weir gets us underway tonight as Worcester go from right to left as I look out from the main stand here at the AJ Bell. Not a clean exit from Sale from the kickoff, and Worcester in possession on the halfway line. A chance to punch an early hole through Ted Hill, their captain, at number 6. Francois Hugart's first service, though, is a little bit loose and puts Duncan Weir under a bit of pressure on the halfway line, but Hugart can dig out from the bottom of the ruck, and Worcester have the opportunity for some early possession. First box kick of the night from the former Blue Bulls scrum half, and Sam James comes forward from fullback to make the claim. De Klerk picks up with a little grubber through for Marlon Yard to chase up to the Worcester 10-metre line. That kick goes out of play though, but De Klerk nudging Sale into Worcester territory. Simon.
Yeah, it's a bit of a scrappy start from both teams actually, but then Sam James makes a lovely catch off Hugart's first box kick of the night, and Faf puts a bit of pressure back on Worcester. So first set piece of the game, we've obviously got JP, Kobus and Bo back in the mix, so our line out should be, touchwood, fairly strong tonight.
Niall Annett, though, with a decent throw for Worcester, securing possession for his side. The Ulsterman at number 2 tonight for the visitors, who make a few yards from the ensuing maul, and Hugart once more electing to box kick early, launches that ball up the left-hand touchline from a Sale point of view as Marlon Yard takes it and starts to run the ball back, gets as far as the Sale 10-metre line, so we're still in the Sale half. De Klerk to McGinty, who thinks about continuing the move along the three-quarter line, then checks back inside and innovatively kicks ahead, chases his own kick, gets there the first time, but then knocks on at the second attempt. Worcester, though, back in possession, and Wayne Barnes playing the initial advantage. None really coming, though, so we'll come back for the McGinty knock-on. Well, that was a sign, Simon, of AJ McGinty's confidence right now. Quite audacious, and he almost pulled it off.
Yeah, I think AJ's obviously spotted no sweeper in the line, so even deep in our own half, he's gone for the little chip and chase, and he's unlucky not to gather. And we're into our first scrum of the night.
So Bevan Rodd against Nick Schonert, Ethan Waller against Cooney Oosthuizen in the front row. Zaka van der Merwe and Niall Annett are hooking. Nick Schonert, a man who's been in and around the England squad, highly rated scrummager. Made the World Cup 2019 training squad before not quite making the cut, so he's a very decent tight head for the Warriors. Bevan Rodd in position on the loose head for Sale. Ollie, who do you think's got the advantage in the tight when we look at the two scrummaging packs tonight?
Well, I think it's going to be interesting, Chris. Obviously, last week things didn't go quite to plan for Sale in the scrum. Val Rapava Ruskin sort of dominated that area for Gloucester, so I'm sure there'd have been a big emphasis this week from Dorian West to get that scrum moving and to try and get on the front foot at the set piece. But just whilst you're with me, Chris, I've got some early messages. One from Pete Dutton saying, "Good answers, love you, Deeks, from the Sale family who are 100% with you, fella." Malcolm George says, "As much as I want to be there right now, I'm not missing these cold nights. Go Sale." So our first messages of the night, Chris, and do get them in if you want us to read them out.
Well, I can tell Malcolm George that it is extremely cold as I stand here at the very back of the main stand tonight. Very privileged to be here. The numbers of people allowed inside the AJ Bell have been further cut this week as COVID has swept the country. So even the non-playing Sale players who normally form a fairly noisy little group sitting just down to my left and not allowed here tonight, hence why Simon has joined us on Zoom, so there are even less in the stadium. But it is a mighty cold night. I've got 2 pairs of socks on, I don't mind telling you, and I can already feel the cold coming through my feet. So it's going to be chilly by the time we finish, I think. But great to be here, and good conditions for this game to be played in. Very little wind and the pitch in very decent shape, as I was saying. Now, first scrum of the night is very solid, and Worcester, having had the put in, win the heel. Chance for them to try and get over the break line, the gain line initially with Chris Pannell. And Pannell takes Worcester just inside Sale territory. Solid start from the visitors when they have had some early possession. Francois Hugart has box kicked twice already and makes that 3 in a row as he launches that ball high into the Manchester sky. And very good take from Tom Roebuck, who came into that with real confidence, calling it early and making a good clean catch, getting himself to floor. And now Faf de Klerk can dig the ball out of the ruck and pop it short to the giant figure of JP Dupree, second tallest man ever to play in the Gallagher Premiership. Only the 7 feet of Richard Metcalfe, who some of you will remember from Newcastle a few years ago, was taller than JP. De Klerk's box kick forward takes Sale into the Worcester half, but Pannell solid under that high ball, secures possession for the visiting Warriors. No score here at the AJ Bell after 5 minutes. Hugart, for the 4th time tonight, launches another box kick up into the sky, and Sam James takes it. Gets past the first tackler but is brought to ground, and de Klerk has to pop the ball short again and get a bit of help from Cobus Visa, who's become a regular in the Sale pack in the first phase of this season. Bomb launched by McGinty, looking for Rob Dupree, who does really well to get under it and claim it. So good possession for Sale inside the Worcester half. De Klerk's pass trying to inject some energy for the Sharks, but the Worcester defensive line is solid. Duncan Weir in a white headband tonight, the Worcester fly half, in with the tackle. But Sale in possession, and a bit of room now for Josh Beaumont. Beaumont, though, can't hold the ball going backwards. Marlon Yard has not much he can really do with that. Well, in fact, Wayne Barnes are judging that Josh Beaumont's handling error did go forward, and it will be a Worcester Warriors scrummage. Simon.
Yeah, both teams obviously early on just looking for that territory, which a lot of Premiership rugby really is based on at the moment. And I think obviously Rob did very well to gather. AJ hoisted a crossfield bomb. Rob does well to take it, and looks like there's a bit of an opportunity on that left side, but the pass just can't stick to Josh on the edge, and we back down for a scrum to Worcester.
Did you think that went forward? I didn't think that was forward at all from Josh there.
No, personally it looked backwards from here, but the man in the middle is the boss.
Well, he certainly is, and there's no more of a boss with a whistle than Wayne Barnes, with all his World Cup experience. Still controlling matches in the Gallagher Premiership. Very much a legal feel to our officials tonight. Wayne Barnes, of course, in the legal profession for a living, and Claire Hodnett is our television match official tonight, and she is also in the same game. So plenty of legal weight behind our officials tonight. Paul Dix and Jamie Leahy are with the flags as the scrum is called to order by Wayne Barnes. Reset required. The first scrum of the night was pretty solid from both teams, and Barnes wanting to make sure that the front rows keep themselves nice and high, and we have a decent night of solid scrummaging. As Ollie Lathrope was saying, Sale struggled a little bit, particularly in the first half last week against Fraser Balmain and Valrapava Ruskin for Gloucester, but no doubt that's been discussed at length in the team meetings this week, and let's see what Oosthuizen and Rod can do tonight. We'll no doubt see changes in the second half. That scrum has gone down, but the ball is safely at the back of the Worcester feet, and a knock on by Ollie Morris in midfield has given Sale possession. Wayne Barnes playing the advantage to Sale as McGinty chips that over the top. Beautifully done by McGinty. A chance now for Tom Roebuck to really stretch his legs. The kick ahead by Roebuck. Can Sam James get there? Roebuck also chasing his own kick, and in the end it's Perry Humphreys who gets back to dot down, but good vision from AJ McGinty. A neat kick over the top. Roebuck claiming it, bursting forward, and in the end the second kick was just too long for Sam James to get on top of. and it will be a dropout to Worcester, but a decent statement of intent from the Sale Sharks, Simon.
Yeah, I think the creative kicking game has been good so far. AJ's obviously hit the crossfield bomb. He's hit a cross kick there, went for an early chip and chase. So I think really trying to test out that Worcester backfield. And we did note during the week they can often leave a few spaces there. So far the boys are doing a great job.
Sam James fields the long dropout, and we're back just inside Worcester territory. No score at the AJ Bell. We're through 8 minutes here, and you're tuned in to Sharks Live with me, Chris Malaband, Ollie Lathrope, and Sale Sharks' very own Simon Hammersley, as de Klerk digs that ball out on the halfway line, and Sale look to get their three-quarters moving again. Jono Ross now appearing on the right wing, smashes into contact in true style as Marco Mama takes the hit. Wayne Barnes, though, sharp on the whistle, and back we will come. Forward pass adjudged by Barnes. Shame for Sale, just as they were starting to build some momentum with McGinty, but the pass from Rob Dupree to Jono Ross was forward, and we will have another scrum. Simon.
Yeah, there's been some nice ambition showed there. I think after the Gloucester game, we were probably a bit frustrated about, obviously conditions weren't particularly conducive to running rugby, but I think the backs noticed a few opportunities they didn't really take to exploit. And obviously we've come out in the first 10 minutes here, like we were saying, good kicking game, but also trying to play from deep. Twice the execution, unfortunately, has let us down, but the decision to go has been the right one.
So scrum again with a Worcester put in. Third one of the night on the Sale 10-metre line, just 5 metres or so in from the left touch line. Neither side yet able to put significant pressure on the other side's 22. The sides have generally moved between the two 10-metre lines for much the opening 10 minutes. And Tom Roebuck's chip ahead the first time that Sale have really offered any kind of threat to the Worcester line. But Ashley Beck takes this ball for Worcester now up to the Sale 10-metre line. And now it's Marco Mama looking to try and continue the momentum of the attack. Weir spins the ball wide, but the Sale defensive line is good. Rob Dupree in with a strong tackle. Hugart feeds Julian Clegg, and now there's a chance for Ted Hill to continue the attack. Weir to Ollie Morris, the former England under-18 centre. Worcester putting together a few phases of attack, but struggling to really make much territorial gain. Hugart to Clegg, brought down on the 10-metre line. Advantage coming to Worcester. Wayne Barnes' arm is outstretched, but just for a moment it looked like Ollie Morris saw a gap through the hole between Rob Dupree and Cobus Visa, and now Perry Humphreys chases this kick through as Sam James goes down to field it on the 10-metre. But Barnes has seen enough. Faf de Klerk in consultation with the referee, but it will be the first penalty of the night. Some way out for Duncan Weir, but he may fancy his chances at goal just on the Sale 10-metre line, wide on the right-hand side.
Yeah, I thought the Sale defence there looked fairly strong. There was a nice line from Ted Hill which put a little dent in it, but we seemed to regain control of that kind of gain line, and then unfortunately we've given away a penalty which Duncan Weir's popped to the corner. So Worcester are going to have a line out about 10 metres out, and I'd expect them to they're a big mauling team, so I would have thought they'd be going straight for the maul.
So first pressure on the Sale line of the night. Worcester will have the throw. It was their penalty, of course, so Niall Annett will have the chance to try and pick out probably Anton Bresler or the giant figure of Justin Clegg, all 6'9" of him. Ted Hill's also another line-out option, but it's to Clegg they go, and it's Clegg who takes it. Now then, the chance for Worcester to work a bit of pre-planned play. Kovacic provides the link. Tackling from Sale is good, but Hugart can try and pick the lock here of the Sale defence about 8 metres out. Hugart again goes short to Bresler. Strong defence from Beaumont. Hugart once more to Ashley Beck, held up by AJ McGinty. Worcester moving laterally at the moment. Strong challenge comes in from Aka van der Merwe there as Ethan Waller gets the drive on. Now it's Hill himself, brought down by Tom Curry. Hugart to Weir. Weir tries to get the pass away. There's a Sale hand in there. Has it gone backwards? Wayne Barnes seems happy to let this go, and Sale have managed to steal possession here. I think it was AJ McGinty who managed the partial interception, and that gives Faf de Klerk the chance to clear up to Perry Humphreys on the Worcester right wing just inside Warriors half. Pannell then tries to set Worcester going again, but a strong Sale defensive effort has moved back the Worcester attack a full 50 metres as Weir tries a little grubber through, and Worcester's attempt at attacking here is looking a little bit frenetic and lacking structure. Sale up quickly and trying to challenge hard at the breakdown, but no turnover coming, and Worcester maintain possession inside their own half, halfway between the 10-metre line and their own 22. Slow ball for Hugart. I would think he may well contemplate yet another box kick here, but actually decides to go short to Niall Annett in at first receiver. Multiple phases here for the Worcester forwards to work their way through. Hugart this time goes for the high box kick. Sam James comes forward, very solid under that high ball. James fields that and pops it back on the Sale side, 5 metres inside their own half. De Klerk to McGinty. Now it's Sam Hill trying to drive the ball up. Hill making his 5th consecutive start tonight for the Sharks, getting a consistent run in the side, the former Exeter man, and now De Klerk can pick up after a combined drive from Van der Merwe and Oosthuizen. Now Bevan Rodd trying to force his way over the gain line. Sam James is in as ersatz scrum half and assisting with the ruck effort as De Klerk gets himself round, and Sale have a bit of time to compose themselves just inside their own territory. Box kick up the left touchline from De Klerk, fielded by Chris Pannell. Very long passage of play with the ball in play at the moment. Neither side, though, able to really take full advantage of it, and it's Worcester who are going to get possession as a consequence as we move past 15 minutes here at the AJ Bell. Back with Hugard, and the kick is launched. This is very cat and mouse, Simon.
Yeah, I think the initial Sale defence was brilliant. Kind of pushed them back from 5 metres out, turned them over, and they then had the ball back on their own 22. But like you said, a lot of box kicking, but these kind of periods when the ball must have been in play 3 or 4 minutes, you know, these are where players tend to make mistakes. So there could be some action about to happen potentially.
Chris Pannell kicks that deep for Worcester. Now Sam James back in his own 22 might decide enough's enough of this exchange and launches a terrific left-footed kick up the left touchline. Excellent trademark Sam James kick. Puts an end to that long piece of forward and back play and will take us to 5 metres outside the Worcester 22. It will be a Worcester throw, but gives us a chance to catch up on social media interactions with Ollie Lathrope.
Yes, Chris, more messages coming in from all those watching at home. James Booth says, fantastic to see Josh back on the pitch last week, and to get the game-winning try was the icing on the cake. I'm sure we'll all agree it was brilliant to see Josh back for that win over Gloucester. And Sally Coniers, I hope I pronounced that right, says, shout out to all the ladies and girls from Chester Women's Rugby watching on the TV tonight. So get your messages in and we'll read them out throughout the night.
Thanks, Ollie, and thanks to those of you who've sent your messages in. Yes, a big shout out to the Chester women's team based down at Hare Lane in Chester. I've been to that ground many times, and great to have them with us tonight. The snow is starting to fall in the floodlights as play comes to a halt. Bit of injury running repairs needed for Faf de Klerk, but we've had snow on and off all day today, bit of sleet at times. And from that passage of play, de Klerk was given a short pass but was cleaned out by Ted Hill, and don't think it's an injury that's too serious. But Simon, talk to us about how many people it takes to get onto a rugby field when there's an injury, because I can see now there must be almost 20 people with high visibility jackets on who've come on with a combination of water and running repairs. This is becoming an industry.
Yeah, you've obviously got I think you are allowed 2 match day physios, your doctor, and then I don't know if there is a limit on water boys, but they're keen to keep the boys hydrated and maybe pass on the odd, tip from the sidelines.
Well, there's certainly plenty of them out there tonight. Looks like the AA have just been called to a breakdown on the M60, the number of yellow shirts we've got out there. But some of them are starting to dissipate now as a few players take the opportunity for a bit of stretching, a bit of water, and Faf de Klerk gets a bit of assistance. Another game going on tonight, of course, in the Gallagher Premiership. That is down at the Rec. This was a 7:45 kickoff, but plenty of points. It's Bath 26, Wasps 14. So Stuart Hooper's side off to a good start there down at the Rec. Here, we're yet to see our first point. We've had 16 and a half minutes. It's been keenly contested, but both sides battling away with the box kick in the main, and lots of very competitive tackling, meaning neither side able to really forge an opportunity as yet. Sale, though, do have the advantage here of territory. They are in the Worcester Warriors 22, and they have the opportunity to try and put a bit of pressure on at this scrum. It will be a Worcester put in. Francois Hugart, nearing his 5th year at Six Ways, 46 caps for South Africa. I'm sure there's some interesting dialogue between him and Faf de Klerk as they try and outwit each other at the scrummage tonight. Two players who will know each other very well, but Hugart is able to carry that one away from the scrum, and Duncan Weir launches that ball down the touchline. Ball, though, is kept in play by Sam James, who looks to run it back himself. Some purpose from James in running that up to the 10-metre line. So Sale back inside Worcester territory. De Klerk pops it short and tries to start building a few more phases. Box kick from De Klerk. The familiar left foot launches that ball high. Duncan Weir calls the mark just inside his 22. And has the chance to steady himself. I must say, Simon, I'm slightly disappointed that Duncan Weir has ceased with his hair growing challenge, which he was doing in the first part of COVID lockdown. Do you remember seeing his flowing locks, which he kept going for some weeks?
Yeah, I think the kind of afro look kind of suited him. I think he was doing it to raise, I actually don't know what charity it was for, but to raise charity for a good cause. So fair play to him. I don't know if people would say the new Barnett's a better and improved look.
Did Sam James do his hair for charity, or was that just a fashion statement?
No, that's just for personal vanity, I think.
Line out to Sale. Aka van der Merwe manages to successfully find JP Dupree, and now there's a chance for Sale to have a penalty for the first time tonight. Wayne Barnes not happy with Matt Kvesic at the breakdown, and this is going to give AJ McGinty a first shot at goal if he fancies it. Simon.
Yeah, obviously AJ's had some brilliant kicking performances. I think, did he miss against Wasps? And then he was 100% against Gloucester. So he's in fine form with the boots. I think we'll definitely back him from, it's just between the 10 and the halfway. So it's on the edge of his distance. But like I said, the way he's been kicking recently, touch wood, it'll be going over.
Yeah, as you say, he's been successful with his last 12 kicks, AJ McGinty. 88% kick accuracy so far this season. So working with Warren Spragg, the new Sale kicking coach, has seemingly been working well for the American. And as Simon Hammersley mentions, this kick is just inside the Worcester 10-metre line. It's central, so you'd think McGinty would fancy his chances here, but some way out from the sticks. First attempt at goal of the night for either side as we move towards the midpoint of the first half. Will AJ McGinty get the Sale scoreboard ticking over? He steadies himself and now starts to approach the ball. Right-footed strike. He turns away, which is normally a good sign, and the flags of the touch judges Jamie Leahy and Paul Dix are raised, and Sale Sharks are off and running. Sale Sharks 3, Worcester 0. Ollie Lathrope.
Yeah, important to get the first points on the board, Chris. Obviously, there's been a bit of to and fro in so far. No side either to get any complete dominance in the game. I think we expected that. Worcester might not be on a great winning run, but they're always a difficult side to play against. So important for Sale to get those points on the board and something to build on in the next 20 minutes.
Duncan Weir with the dropout elects to go long, and Rob Dupree, very solid under that high ball, breaks the initial gain line and gives Sale just a little bit of momentum in carrying that out of the 22. John O'Ross, who picked up that yellow card at Gloucester last weekend, then makes the next incision. Josh Beaumont rock solid at the back of that ruck as de Klerk launches that box kick. Marlon Yard gives chase and puts in the tackle on Chris Pannell, and that coughs up possession, and Akker van der Merwe then puts boot to ball, something you don't see too often from the hooker, and it's a decent kick. Tom Roebuck in pursuit. Duncan Weir goes back and will have to clear, but a net gain from Akker van der Merwe. And is that something, Simon Hammersley, that Akker often demonstrates in training?
I can't say I've seen him try and put the ball in the bottom right corner for my whole time at Sale, but it's a brilliant kick by Faf, well pressured by Yardy, and then, to be fair to Akker, he spotted a big bit of open space, put the kick in there. Tom Roebuck's chased hard on Duncan Weir, and Sale have got a line out about 30 metres out, so the first chance to really launch a line out attack.
The modern day hooker, all facets covered. Akker van der Merwe with a decent throw, that's more his traditional domain, and JP Dupree with a decent catch, and Sale can move again through Sam Hill, and now Sam James, and Marlon Yard has space and a chance for Yard to go through the gears for the first time tonight. Yard can get a bit of a run up here on Perry Humphreys, but the tackle is solid on the 22 there. Faf de Klerk picks up, de Klerk spots a gap down the blind side, de Klerk half through, 5 metres short to Sam James, James a metre short. Sale asking all the questions now. De Klerk pop pass to a rumbling Cooney Oosthuizen, taking that ball with a bit of momentum. The Worcester defence solid. Sale a metre short. De Klerk tries to borrow over, and he's there. Faf de Klerk with the first score of the night and his first score of the season. And Sale Sharks suddenly up in the ante. It was Marlon Yard with the initial burst down the left-hand touchline. De Klerk then continued the move, and after the ball went through the hands a couple of times in the forwards, de Klerk sniping round, finishes off from close range. It's Sale Sharks 8, Worcester Warriors 0.
Yeah, it's a brilliant launch from Sale, getting the ball to Yardy right on the edge, and then Faf notices there's no Worcester pillar down the short side, nearly gets over himself the first time. Great speed of ball from these pursuing breakdowns from the forwards, and then Faf again notices the short side pillar's a bit lazy, manages to get a show and go and get himself over the line. So great tempo from the Sale number 9.
Sale Sharks crossing the whitewash for the first time tonight. They'd struggled to break the Worcester gain line too often in the first 20 minutes or so, but off the back of AJ McGinty opening the Sale account for the evening, a try follows 2 minutes later, and as Simon Hammersley was saying, great work from Faf de Klerk both in the execution and in the creation. So it's a tough kick for AJ McGinty as the evening sleet continues to swirl 5 metres in from the left-hand touchline. This will test his current run of immaculacy from the kicking tee, 13 out of 13 across the last 3 matches, including this one. Can he maintain that run and make it 14 out of 14? McGinty then. Well, he's turned away quickly. I think he likes it. Yes, he does. And AJ McGinty at the moment cannot miss. He adds the extras. It's Sale Sharks 10, Worcester 0. Ollie.
Well, we saw what Faf did against Harlequins in the Premiership Rugby Cup final, didn't we, Chris? Exploiting that short side, creating something, and then he was then on hand there to finish what he started. So a really important first try for Sale and a chance to build on that now.
Duncan Weir once more with the long restart, goes straight into the arms of Faf de Klerk, who then returns that with interest beyond the halfway line, taking play back up to the Worcester 10 metre, and so Sale straight away return to Worcester territory. Simon, just talk us through the different approaches you can take from a kick-off, because looking at the way Duncan Weir lined that one up, he hammered the ball straight down the throat to Faf de Klerk, who then returned it with interest and put Worcester back into their own half again. What would have been Weir's thinking there, do you think?
I would imagine he was wanting to get a bit close to the touchline so their winger can really put pressure on the catcher. Teams we do seem to see not really like to kick short and to compete for these balls. I think just the territory they want to get is based on a kick-off being long. The other team hopefully then gives them a launch, as Worcester maul here.
Worcester up to the 10 metre line. Yes, it does appear to be that, as you say, Simon, contested kick-offs and teams just trying to float the ball over the opposition 10 metre that we used to see so often in rugby appear to be going out of fashion, certainly at the moment. Maybe they'll come back, but the longer kickoffs do seem to be preferred. Worcester, though, caught offside by Wayne Barnes, and that's going to give Sale a penalty just inside the Worcester half. And after a cagey opening 20 minutes, Simon, Sale now suddenly with a 10-point lead and looking very much in the ascendancy here.
Yeah, it was a slow first 10 minutes from both sides, but Sale have really turned the screw, as you said. I think some good territorial work and then a few penalties at the breakdown, which have benefited Sale and allowed us to move close to the Worcester line. And again, here we are about 15 metres away from their try line with another chance to launch a line-out attack, which is, it's been working well for us recently.
So Akker van der Merwe has the chance, as Simon says, to ensure Sale have the platform here. It's the giant figure of JP Dupree who secures the ball. He has been super solid in the line-out since he arrived, and Sale now have the chance to try and drive this forward. The ball, though, goes down quickly, and Faf de Klerk's going to have to dig this one out. It's spun out of his hands, but it was kicked out. I think it was by Anton Bressler. You don't get that one past Wayne Barnes when arguably the world's best referee is stood half a yard away, and Barnes' shrill blast gives Sale the chance to kick to the corner and launch a 5-metre line out. Definite opportunity here, Simon.
Yeah, I think Worcester almost looked like they got the better of them all, but then Bressler gives away a pretty silly penalty and Sale can, get another chance to probably again go to the maul game.
Dupree is having an easy time of it in the middle of the line out tonight, and once more he claims that. Worcester are going to need to try and disrupt that a bit if they're not to let Sale have a fairly clean supply of ball, but the ball's been coughed up in the maul and Worcester can come away with it unexpectedly now. Then there's a chance for a counter-attack here with Nick David able to carry that one up to the 10-metre line. Hugart, though, almost intercepted by Faf de Klerk as de Klerk spotted Hugart's pass, sprinted onto it, and he was just a couple of inches away from having a clear run to the line there, Faf de Klerk, but he couldn't hold on, and the knock-on means a Worcester scrum. What happened in that maul, Simon?
I actually couldn't really see. I think it maybe got taken straight off JP Dupree, who won the line out. But we do well to sort of scramble back, and then Faf head in hands after that. He could have actually had an interception try, I think, if he'd managed to, take the pass. He's noticed Hugard trying to throw a really long pass from 9 to the forwards. Managed to try and snipe his way in, and unfortunately hasn't managed to gather it.
Scrum then to Worcester, just inside their own 10-metre line. Francois Hugart has it. Don't forget you have the opportunity to put questions to Simon Hammersley tonight, so please do write your questions through whichever social channel you're watching this broadcast, whether it's the Sale Sharks Facebook page or Twitter or Facebook. We will pick up the questions and put them to Simon as Worcester break away through Marco Mama. Decent run from the Zimbabwean number 8 from the back of that scrum. Takes his side up to the halfway line, and Ted Hill continues that momentum. Akker van der Merwe in though with the tackle. Worcester as yet have struggled to really ask questions of the Sale defence deep in Sale territory, and Francois Hugart decides their best route to get there is yet another of his box kicks up the left-hand touchline, and Nick David does well to battle for that with Tom Roebuck. He did though knock on, just a couple of inches away from securing possession there, the young Worcester winger. And Ollie, I believe we've had a question in for Simon Hammersley.
Yeah, a question in from James Booth, Chris, for Simon. Simon, how big of a difference is it playing with and without crowds, and are there any advantages to playing in front of no crowds?
I think kind of the first time we did it, we played Harlequins away, and it was kind of eerie when you went out to warm up. I wouldn't say that was the reason we didn't play well in that game, but it was a noticeable difference. But I would say after that, people have just got used to it. I think in football in particular, they did notice that away teams were getting more victories than they maybe previously did. And I would say in rugby, it probably does have an effect. The crowd really roaring on the home team can, if you're under pressure as an away team, can really sort of turn the screw. And I think it'll be great when we can have crowds back, but obviously at the moment, the situation doesn't allow it, and I think everyone's kind of got used to this no crowd rugby.
So have you almost, as you said, got used to it now? Is it much easier to play in front of no? So obviously you want the fans there, but is it now sort of you're used to it? You go to a game knowing no one is going to be there, obviously.
Yeah, I would say so. I'd say it was quickly, one of those things that you kind of get used to. It's like when you start, well, I know for me, when I started my professional career, first game I played was at Welford Road, and I ran out, and I'd never really played in front of a crowd of more than a few hundred, and there was 25,000 wanting you to do your worst.
Well, thanks for that, Simon, and make sure you get your questions in, and we'll try and ask them to Simon throughout the rest of the game. But back to Chris.
Thanks, Ollie. Thank you, Simon. Foot up at that scrum is adjudged by Wayne Barnes against Akker van der Merwe, giving Worcester Warriors a free kick. Worcester, though, electing to take the scrum. Interesting decision, obviously feeling that they have got the ascendancy in that area, and an opportunity for them to try and build a platform from this scrummage. And just to let you know that there is a link on the Supporters Club Facebook page for the Zoom room on the big screen, which is going to be set up, I think, at half-time tonight. So have a look on the Sale Shark Supporters Club Facebook page for the Zoom room, which will then be put onto the big screen here at the AJ Bell at half-time tonight. Thank you to Colin McKevitt for that. Scrum then to the Worcester Warriors on the Sale 22. Sale 10, Worcester 0. Just 10 minutes or so left in this first half at the AJ Bell. Chris Malaban, Simon Hammersley and Ollie Lathrope talking you through this one tonight. Sale ahead thanks to a Faf de Klerk try converted by AJ McGinty and the McGinty penalty as Ashley Beck tries to release Ollie Morris through the centre for Worcester. Kovacic keeps the attack going. First time really we've seen any threat from the visitors to the Sale 22 that has been sustained. And Sale try and snuff this out, but Hugart can dig this out from the bottom of the ruck and find Ted Hill. Sale just retreating a little bit here as Hugart again tries to probe. Duncan Weir with a pass to Ashley Beck. Beck's got options here if he can get to Ollie Morris, and he could, but Morris couldn't get the pass away. Gives Sale the chance to scramble their defence across, and Wayne Barnes sharp on the whistle there, adjudging in Sale's favour. Excellent work from Akker van der Merwe at the breakdown. Gives Sale the penalty. A combination of van der Merwe and Bevan Rod showing again the value of a mobile front row in gaining control back. And Sam James has the chance to clear this penalty into the stand and take Sale out of trouble and up to the halfway line. Simon.
Yeah, Worcester kind of launched their first real with a bit of danger in attack, but there's some great cover tackling, and Bevan, who's, he's been a great player for us this year, and he's only a young player, but as a loosehead prop, he's, I think he's got a very solid scrum game, but he's also very good at tackling and the turnover. We've seen him with a lot of turnovers in his games, which is great for such a new guy into the team.
Line out from van der Merwe finds the trusty hands of John O'Ross towards the tail, and now van der Merwe can carry that ball on the edge of the maul, making sure he stays bound. Van der Merwe to a decent truck in front of him as Sale move forward at pace, and a high hanging box kick from Faf de Klerk is well fielded by Nick David. Nick David with his fluorescent pink boots on has the chance to clear. Normally a fullback, England under-19s man who came through the Worcester Academy. And he can clear the ball into Sale territory, but de Klerk is able to quickly take the line out, and Sam James launches a high ball which de Klerk battles for himself. David, though, does well to wrestle that ball out of the grasp of de Klerk, and Worcester are in possession again, 5 metres or so inside their own half, as Wayne Barnes once more reaches for the whistle, and Worcester penalised for not releasing. The penalty count is growing against the Warriors, and once more it's Bevan Rod who gets the congratulations of his colleagues. A little smile from the loosehead prop as Sale win a penalty. Central, very kickable you'd think for AJ McGinty, and a chance for Sale to further extend their lead. Simon.
Well, I was hoping I hadn't given Bevan the commentator's curse, but he's come up with another great play. And I think, the Sale defence as a whole, this season and previous season, it's been the key to our success, I'd say. And tonight it's looking very good. Again, Worcester playing a lot off 9, which they do, with Hugard being a real threat and some big, strong carriers. But as a whole, the Sale defensive lines looked physical. And then also, you've got great poachers, Bevan, Aka, Tom, Jono. You know, when you've got that many people who are good over the ball, it is very difficult to attack against.
AJ McGinty then, on this excellent run of 14 consecutive successful kicks, stands over this one. Central, 5 metres or so, maybe 10 inside the Worcester half, and McGinty strikes it right-footed. Has it got the legs? No, it hasn't. It's a rare McGinty miss, and McGinty's run of successful kicks comes to an end. He didn't seem convinced about that one as he struck it. We didn't have the usual turn away and casting away of the kicking tee. So McGinty misses for the first time in a fair while, and it remains Sale Sharks 10, Worcester 0, with 5 minutes left in this first half, and Worcester can clear, and Rob Dupree can return the ball with interest with a bomb which Chris Pannell initially doesn't manage to hold, but he grabs it at the second attempt before he's bundled into touch, and it will be a Sale Sharks line-out. Just a score flash from the other game in the Gallagher Premiership tonight. That's down at the Rec. It's a cracking game by the look of the score. Bath 29, Wasps 24 at half-time at the Rec. So a very high-scoring first half there. Stuart Hooper's men, though, at the moment in the ascendancy against a Wasp side who've really impressed in the opening weeks of this season. Van der Merwe's throw is taken by JP Dupree. Curry to De Klerk, and now Sam Hill. Offside, though, given against Wayne Barnes, and Worcester retreating once more. This is going to be an opportunity. Well, in fact, Barnes going back, I think, to the infringement that had happened a little bit earlier, because he's given this penalty from a position a lot nearer the Worcester line than where he blew up. So this is going to give McGinty the chance with a very straightforward kick right from the 22-metre line, bang in front of the sticks, to atone for his miss a couple of minutes ago. Simon.
Yeah, I think he must have given the penalty. It looks like maybe when Sale set up a kind of breakout, so almost like a dummy maul, the backs from the Worcester side have moved a bit quickly. So maybe against Duncan Weir or Ashley Beck at 12, and AJ's got a more simple opportunity to get another 3 points on the board.
So bang on the halfway line and bang in front of the sticks for AJ McGinty, who steadies himself with the clock moving up to the 37th minute. This should be a formality for McGinty, and indeed it is, as he clouts that ball beyond the terracing behind the posts and towards the Sharkey. 13 points to 0 now, the Sale lead with 2 minutes to go in this first half. Ollie, what else have you got for us through social media?
We've got a message in from Paul Garnett, Chris, who says Bevan Rod has really taken his opportunity. Great to see a young lad shining, and I can't agree more with Paul there. Bevan Rod having a brilliant game tonight and continuing his good form from early in the season, and to keep a player of the calibre of Ross Harrison out of the side, you must be doing something well. So congratulations to Bevan on how he's playing at the moment.
Thank you, Paul, for your message, and don't forget, everyone, you can get your questions asked to Simon Hammersley tonight through the broadcast, or make your points like Paul did about Bevan Rod there. Always great to hear from you. And also, please tell us where you're listening tonight. The wonders of the internet. It's always great to hear, particularly when people are in far-flung lands and joining the broadcast at very different times to the 8:45 in the evening that we have here in Salford tonight. So do let us know where you're tuning in from and who you're supporting, of course. Hopefully plenty of Worcester fans also joining us for our broadcast tonight, and a very warm welcome to all the Warriors fans who are with us. Your team have got just under a couple of minutes to try and get themselves on the scoreboard tonight, and Francois Hugart does have the opportunity of a scrum on the Sale 22-metre line, which he puts into now, and it's a decent heel from Niall Annett, back in the feet of Marco Mama, and penalty coming. Wayne Barnes' arm is extended as Ashley Beck tries to get the Worcester three-quarter line moving. No real traction though, so Barnes goes back for the penalty. And this may give Duncan Weir the chance to at least get Worcester on the board tonight before half-time. And with just a minute or so left on the clock, and a penalty in front of the sticks. the Scottish international is going to have a shot at the posts. Simon.
Yeah, we obviously gave away things like the first scrum penalty. Well, it's an advantage to Worcester. They've tried to launch a bit of a backs move, to be honest. Rob Dupree at 13's defended it really well. He's pushed off the dummy runners, managed to get Perry Humphreys man and ball, and then just looks like Wayne Barnes is giving him no clear release when he's gone in for the turnover. So a bit of a shame if that's going to end the half with Worcester getting 3 points. But overall, I think from a Sale perspective, it's been a brilliant half. Excellent defensive effort. We've tried to play at certain times that creative kicking game in the beginning of the game, and then we've built pressure with territory and then a good try as well.
So Weir standing over this one. White headband around his forehead tonight. And the experienced Scottish international comes forward right-footed and slots that one between the posts. Decent strike from Duncan Weir as the clock runs to red. That will be the last action of the first half. So Worcester able to take some dividend from a first half in which they have struggled to really punch holes in the Sale defence. A very cagey opening 20 minutes with box kicking to the fore, but as the half wore on, Sale starting to exert their authority. AJ McGinty's penalty backed up by a good try from Faf de Klerk after both he and Marlon Yard had made breaks down the left touchline. McGinty converted that, then added a penalty before Duncan Weir just reduced the arrears to 10 points at the half-time whistle. So Sale 13, Worcester 3. Simon, Paul Deacon told Colin McKevitt before the match tonight it was about building pressure and cutting out errors. That was what he saw as the next areas in terms of the development of his side. Do you think Paul will be happy with that first half across those dimensions of pressure and error rate?
Yeah, I think definitely territorially. I think, Sale have been on the front foot. There's been some good kicking by Faf, some good chasing. AJ obviously exploited a few opportunities early on. So I think pressure-wise, we've definitely had the better of that. And then error-wise, there's still been a few errors, but on the whole, if we looked at the Gloucester game, it was brilliant to get the win. And I thought the second half performance, although it wasn't flowing rugby, was, it shows real grit, determination, and being able to win a Premiership game. I think we've cut out of lots of the errors that we had on, when was that, last Saturday. So on the whole, it's definitely a step in the right direction. And hopefully, I know we were saying when I was last on commentary against Wasps, we still are yet to put in the full 80-minute performance. So hopefully this can be the night.
Yes, you talked about that full 80-minute performance, Simon, when you were with us for the Wasps game, and at Gloucester it took a while for the team to warm up. How much of a confidence boost do you think it would be for the camp if Sale could put that 80-minute performance together tonight and close out the second half with a similar level of control to what they're experiencing at the moment?
Yeah, I think it would be huge. During the week we spoke about how we actually haven't won back-to-back games yet this season, which seems surprising when you're fourth in the table, but winning tonight would really be a step in the right direction. And I think, as Deke said as well, we're really trying to push on and cut out those errors and also play some good rugby. So I think as a whole, confidence is high after the win against Gloucester, and hopefully we can get another win tonight.
Let me just ask you about that, Simon, in terms of the lack of back-to-back victories, because I had a look back at last season's results, and it was almost exactly the same at the start of the season. It was win-loss, 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 and then the team obviously got into really good nick in the new year and won 5 matches out of 6 in the Gallagher Premiership. Is there something about the bedding in of new players? Is there something here, do you think, about the likes of JP Dupree coming in and the fact that 2 or 3 of the regular players from last season, people like yourself and the Dupree brothers who've been suspended, their absence is meaning that new combinations are taking a bit more to gel and therefore consistency gets hit as a consequence?
Yeah, I think that's crucial to why Deeks has picked a very similar team tonight. I think he's wanting that consistency in selection, which then you hope brings consistency in performance. I think obviously last season we were on a real run as we moved into lockdown, which was a shame. But I think, this season we've got the same opportunity now to, hopefully win tonight, get the back-to-back wins and then go into Europe, where I assume there'll probably be a few changes due to the nature of this season. But, it'd be brilliant to go up to Edinburgh and get a win there as well.
Just remind us, Simon, if Sale are able to beat Edinburgh and Toulon over the next 2 weekends, is there still the possibility of qualification in Europe, or is it very difficult now mathematically?
I think there is mathematically still the opportunity to qualify. You know, with this new system for this year where there's 2 pools of 12, I actually don't know the ins and outs well enough. It's not as simple as, you know, it's usually a pool of 4. You play your 3 teams home and away, and you can kind of gauge what point tally you'll need. This year it is going to be a bit different, and as we've already seen with a few COVID cancellations, for example, Exeter obviously were unable to play against Toulouse, so that was a 5-point victory to Toulouse. So, you know, given the situation at the moment as well, you don't know if the next couple of weekends are going to throw some of them in the hat as well, which could change the standings.
Yes, with the COVID cancellations, it is really very difficult to predict how certain permutations can be worked out in the coming weeks. We'll keep a close eye, of course, on all of that. One of the Gallagher Premiership matches, of course, this weekend cancelled. Northampton against Leicester due to a COVID outbreak at Northampton. So sadly, this is a feature of the times that we're living in at the moment. Ollie Lathrope is with us tonight. He's been keeping an eye on the socials for us. Ollie, what other interactions have you got for us?
Well, we've actually got another question for Simon, Chris, and it comes in from James again. It's Simon, what's the favourite ground to play at? You don't have to say the AJ Bell.
I've obviously got fond memories at Kingston Park. You know, I was there for 5 years. The AJ Bell now, you know, that's your home. You love having the home crowd there, hearing them chanting. Then after the game, you know, kind of high-fiving them, getting to know them a bit better. But from an away point of view, I think Bath's somewhere I've always loved. You know, the Rec, you know, it's a brilliant place to play. I actually played the JP Morgan Sevens. I think it was the knockout stages. This was about quite old, probably 6-7 years ago now. And I remember that was my first time playing there. I thought it's brilliant. You've got the river, you've got the city overlooking. I just think that's a fantastic place to play rugby. So yeah, I'd probably have to say the Rec for away games.
And can I just build on that question from James Simon? Which is the most intimidating ground to play at? Would it be one of the French grounds, or maybe Kingsholm when it's in full cry?
Yeah, Kingsholm actually is up there. I know at Newcastle we were never particularly successful there, so I've had a fair few. The Shed's not one to back away from shouting at a fullback or a winger who's patrolling the touchline. So, you know, the supporters are there. It's great spirit, and that's how rugby should be played. You know, fans enjoying themselves, players kind of adapting to the situation. French-wise, Toulon, obviously, unfortunately, we went out there with no fans, but the atmosphere there is absolutely fantastic. So somewhere like there, especially, you know, I wasn't fortunate to go there. We're in the kind of Wilkinson, Giteau, Nonu, who is back there, those kind of days when they were really the powerhouse of European rugby. But I would say there, and Clermont, I've never actually played there, but on TV, you know, when they're clapping the Morgan Parra going for the kicks, you know, it's something that probably makes the hairs on your arms on end.
Yeah, it must be an amazing experience to play in one of these French grounds, Simon, absolutely. Let's have a look what else is coming in on the social media. Owen Widowson says, if Tom Curry scores tonight, I'll get a curry for dinner. Well, fair enough, Owen. It's going to be a late dinner, but, you know, let's see. If he scores an 80th minute try, get yourself a jalfrezi or whatever is your favourite curry flavour. And we've got another question coming in, Simon, which is, how much of a boost to the squad is it when you get a player like Josh Beaumont back after a long-term injury?
I think it's actually huge. You know, Josh, as he said in his interview before, when you're out for 14 months, the amount of ups and downs you've had, you know, he had to have other operations to kind of fix it. I think even, I would say the best thing is when you see them start running. So you see them outside for the first time, you think, you know, this is brilliant. And then when they get on the training pitch again, it's a lift to the squad, because not only do they bring their own individual, you know, brilliance and their rugby nous and things like that, they also just bring, you know, it is a team. It's like a family environment. So one of your friends is back out there, you know, he's been through a tough time. So I think it not only lifts other players, but, you know, it lifts themselves to perform at the highest level.
That's the voice of Simon Hammersley, Sale Sharks fullback and winger, who is kindly joining us on Sale Sharks Live tonight as he continues his rehabilitation from injury. Simon hopefully back for the Leicester game in around 3 weeks' time, hamstring permitting. It's half time if you're just joining us on Sharks Live. You've missed Sale Sharks 13, Worcester 3 if you are just tuning in. The players having their half-time break after a half where Worcester competed hard with Sale for the first 20 minutes, neither side able to really put pressure on the other, and then Sale breaking through with a Faf de Klerk try, which AJ McGinty backed up with a conversion and a couple of penalties. Ollie Lathrop, my regular co-commentator on Sharks Live, is also with us tonight. Ollie, did that first half follow a pattern that surprised you in any way, or was it the kind of game that you thought it might be before a ball was kicked tonight?
Well, obviously it's hard from sitting at home to judge what the conditions are like, but it's obviously been difficult for both teams with some snow in the air, and I did expect Sale to have the bulk of the possession. And Worcester, you looking at the two teams, you thought Sale probably had the better side on paper, but Worcester always play hard. Sale don't have a particularly good record at six ways, although Worcester have never won at the AJ Bell either, so it goes both ways. But I think Paul Deacon will be happy with that. The first half last week against Gloucester wasn't particularly good. The second half was much better. But the first 40 tonight has been impressive. I think, as Simon said, the continuity in selection helps. I think a few weeks ago when we saw Sam James at fullback and perhaps Rob Dupree in the centre, people might have been a little bit worried how that might go. But we're starting to see those two come together in different positions. And I think hopefully in this second half we can see that develop further.
Thank you, Ollie. That's Ollie Lathrop, Sale Sharks Live commentator, tuning in tonight via Zoom as he stays at home down in Bristol as part of the COVID complications for us all. I'm Chris Malaband at the stadium, having the privilege of being here tonight on a chilly night in Salford. The sleet has at least relented for a while and hopefully will stay away from us for the second half. Let's just have a look on social media again. Reese Smith has been in touch. Good evening to you, Reese, a Worcester fan. And he says, discipline for the Warriors was strong for the first 15, but the penalty count started creeping up. Feel if we can get a try in the opening 10 minutes of the second half, we will have the wind in our sails. Happy with an organised and hard-working team. Yeah, absolutely, Reese. Thank you very much for getting in touch with us. And I think that is a fair summary of your side in the first half. They have worked hard and been organised. Tough to break down. One of the sides that always do have to work hard in the Prem to ensure they stay there and fight their way out of any relegation danger. Gloucester bottom of the table at the moment, but very early in the season. Now Steve on Twitter has been a little bit less positive about the Warriors. He's another Worcester fan. He says, well, that was bang average for the Warriors. Hopefully we actually want to play in the second half. So thank you, Steve, for getting in touch. Another Worcester fan with not quite such a charitable view of his side's performance in the opening 40 minutes. The Rugby Sale Sharks Twitter handle I can see has also been positive, as we have been, about the performance of Bevan Rodd in the opening half. So lots of positives for Bevan tonight as he makes his fourth start of the season. The loosehead prop who came through the Sale Academy and is currently keeping Ross Harrison and Valerie Morozov out of the starting lineup. And Luke Jonesy says, good half that, just need try time now. So thank you, Luke, very much for getting in touch with us. I think, Simon, back to Bevan Rodd, and admittedly I know that the tight is not your immediate area of expertise as a full-back come winger, but as a young player coming in to play loosehead prop, would you say that it's harder for Bevan Rodd to establish himself in the set piece, or harder for him to establish himself more widely around the park? Which area is the tougher one to nail when you come in at such a high level of the game as this?
As you said, I'm no kind of scrum maestro, but I imagine the set piece for a young prop, just because these guys have got years of experience at the highest level, they've been coached. I think it's very technical. So how literally the years of coaching you've had in that position. But, he actually had a nasty injury last year where he damaged just below his knee. And so he was out for a while. I think that probably almost helped him get the upper body strong, the lower body back in place, the core strong, and get himself, it gives you a bit of a new lease of life. And he's come out this year. And I think, we've been saying about his loose play, but from what I've seen from both playing with him and on the sidelines, he's brilliant at the set piece. And I think as well with the young guy, he's very modest. He just gets his head down. He works really hard. Him and Ross have a great relationship on and off the pitch. And I know Ross really, helps him, sort of mentors him, both the gym work, the extra prep you need to put in as a prop, and then also they do a lot of extra skills. So there's obviously a real nice community there with the loose heads all kind of striving to be better and pushing one another.
That's really good to hear, Simon, because I guess many people will look at a squad of players and think, despite almost the surface level friendships that might exist, deep down there's rivalry of, who actually wants the shirt. But it's great that there is actually a deeper community there where players are actually developing each other rather than seeing one another as rivals. Is that common in rugby, do you know, at the top level, or is what you're seeing amongst that pool of loose heads a bit of an exception to the rule?
I think on the whole it is fairly common. I know when I started playing, it was one of the first things I kind of had to overcome was this sense of your teammates and good friends, because you ask about each other's partners, each other's lives outside of rugby, but then equally your competitors. And I think there's not many sort of jobs or employment types that have this same relationship. And I think at Sale, it really is built well. I think we've signed some good players. There's great players coming through the academy, and so everyone is kind of pushing together to ultimately kind of end in that top four, and then you never know what's going to happen. So I would say there's a real vibe within the team of trying to push each other. And so the 23 that take the pitch on this Friday, Saturday, Sunday are best prepared to take on the game.
Thank you, Simon. Simon Hammersley giving his excellent insights and analysis from within the Sale Sharks camp via Zoom tonight on Sharks Live. As the players return to the pitch, you can probably hear the music behind me, which greeted the return of the Sale side to the playing area. Worcester had come out a couple of minutes beforehand, and we're ready to start the second half here at the AJ Bell. Just a couple of other social media interactions. Dazza has said, reasonable half, tap on the no release there for Rob Dupree at the end. Glad to see we're keeping the penalty count down, ramp up the intensity for the second half. Thank you, Dazza. And David Shaw says, come on Sharks, keep it going, on the up. Please keep those interactions coming through the social media channels in the second half. Ollie Lathrope will keep us updated with all those of you who get in touch, and don't forget you can ask questions to Simon Hammersley as well over the next 40 minutes or so. So please just use the comment area on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, and our team will pick those up. Right, scrum to Sale at the start of this second half. A nice floated restart from AJ McGinty saw Worcester having difficulties in dealing with it, and after good work from Tom Curry getting his arm round Justin Clegg, Wayne Barnes on the whistle, giving Sale the adjudication from the resulting scrum as that ball became unplayable. And Tom Curry, who perhaps a little bit of a quiet first half by his own electrifying standards, making an impact right in the opening exchanges of the second. So put in for Faf de Klerk. He has the chance to try and dictate terms early in this second half. If you're just joining us on Sharks Live, a warm welcome from Salford. 13 points to 3, the home side lead as we begin the second 40 minutes. We'll recap the teams in a few moments as Beaumont picks up from the back of that scrum, finds de Klerk, who in turn pops it to Marlon Yard, coming in from his wing and cutting through the middle. Sale launch again with John O'Ross to the fore. Approaching the Worcester 22, the Sharks have de Klerk on the ball, and he goes back inside to the hard-running Sam Hill. McGinty to Yard. We're up quickly on Marlon Yard. Already 3 tries to the winger's name so far this season, and Josh Beaumont gets involved wide on the left-hand touchline, and a penalty coming. Beaumont penalised for not releasing on the floor. Good work from Niall Annett. And that will give Worcester the chance to clear the ball from their 22-metre line and shift play upfield. Simon.
Yeah, there was some nice interplay from Sale there. I just think Faf spotted a bit of a gap again with Josh, and unfortunately he slips over as he gets the ball, and the support's a bit slow. So good work from Worcester at the breakdown, to be honest. I think it's Annett who ends up with the turnover, so that's great play by him, and Duncan Weir seems to have kicked it, nicely up the touchline. So they've got a chance for, to test our defence early on in the second half.
Niall Annett then will throw. Isaac Miller is the replacement hooker tonight, the former Loughborough Students captain, who is on the bench for the Warriors. But Niall Annett, very much the man in possession of the jersey, now that Jack Singleton has moved on from Worcester Warriors. Very promising hooker who displaced Annett for the time which he was at the club before moving on to Saracens as he moved into the international waters. Here's Cooney Oosthuizen now for Sale. Tight head prop, burrowing his way up to the 10-metre line as Worcester can't take advantage of the penalty and their own line-out throw. It's the Sharks in possession again, and John O'Ross popping up more and more in that outside centre channel, who punches a hole. And this time the pass from Rob Dupree is out of reach for Tom Roebuck and goes straight out of play for a Worcester line-out just inside their own half.
Yeah, it was good. JP managed to disrupt the line out, and I think that's one thing that with Josh coming back into the team has, it should strengthen our line out. And touch wood, so far in this game, I think we've secured all of ours quite comfortably and managed to disrupt a couple of Worcester ones. So it does show having an extra, second row, back row in the team really does enhance that area.
Josh Beaumont, the challenge I think will be as well tonight, how long he can go for. First start since his injury. Got about 15 minutes at Gloucester last week, but be a test as to whether he could really get through 80 tonight. Sam Dugdale and James Phillips both on the bench as back row options for Paul Deacon, as that high hanging kick is very well fielded by Tom Roebuck, not for the first time tonight. Tom Roebuck, formerly of Chester Rugby Club, whose women's team we know are tuned in tonight, doing himself full justice with an excellent catch and ensuring Sale have possession to work from. De Klerk waits at the base and launches his high hanging kick up over the halfway line. Well fielded by Chris Pannell, using all his 33 years of experience. Almost 250 appearances for the Warriors, Chris Pannell. And still a very solid fullback at this level as Duncan Weir thumps the ball into the gap behind Sam James. Good kick from Weir, which is forcing James to retreat. Back to Faf de Klerk, just 5 metres from his own line, and de Klerk manages to pump that ball up the left touch line. It will be a Worcester Warriors line out, halfway between the 10-metre line and the 22. Ollie Lathrope, your early reflections on the first 6 minutes or so of the second half.
Well, it's been relatively even, Chris, hasn't it? Both sides, again, trying to get that territory gain. And that was a nice kick from Duncan Weir in behind the cell defensive line. Sam James and Faf de Klerk forced to go back. And it's a bit of a gain in the end for Worcester. They've got this line out and they've won it in a chance here for the Warriors to try and get their first try of the game on the board.
Hugard pops the ball short to Hill. No changes yet from either of the coaches as Worcester try and move through the phases a bit. And Hugard busy at the base. Releases Weir. Weir misses out to Ollie Morris, and the ball is moved wide to Perry Humphreys on the right wing, but a knock-on by Humphreys. Everybody stops for a moment. Perry Humphreys then gets himself a little bit frustrated with Cobus Visa on the touchline. Nothing really to see here. And we'll go back for the knock-on by Humphreys and the Sale scrum just inside their own half. Simon, you made the point to us at half-time about Paul Deacon's decision to name a very similar 23 to the one who played at Gloucester last weekend in that drive for consistency and combinations to develop. Do you think that might mean that he is relatively reluctant to empty the bench tonight, or could you see a steady stream of subs start to be introduced relatively soon, do you think?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. I think front row wise, we often see them being subbed, around 55, 60 minutes into the game. And then he's got some great options. As we said last time I was on commentary, he's got Sam Dugdale to add a bit of pace to the back row. He's very explosive. And then backs wise, Faf's having a very good game. So I don't think he'll be looking to put Cliffy on right yet. But equally, then we've also got Luke and Byron on. Two very good outside backs. So I think we'll probably hold off and sort of let this first 10, 15 minutes go. And then if the game opens up, I would be looking to guys like Luke and Byron, who are devastating runners, to maybe exploit some gaps in the tiring Worcester defence.
Yeah, great to have Byron McGuigan back from injury. We've been keeping an eye on matches elsewhere tonight, and particularly the match at the Rec, Bath against Wasps. Well, you might remember Bath were winning 29 points to 24 at half-time. It's now Bath 36, Wasps 45. So an absolute tri-fest there at the Rec. The two attacking sides very much on top of the defensive efforts, and Lee Blackett's team once again showing they are a serious force to be reckoned with, going down to the southwest and seemingly on target for victory, but who knows, still a way to go yet in that game. But 36-45 down at the Rec. 2 tries for Tom Cruise and 2 for Paolo Adogwu, the former Saleman, amongst the Wasps scorers. So plenty of points to be keeping an eye on down there. Here at the AJ Bell, it's 13 points to 3 that Sale lead. We've had 7 minutes of the second half as Faf de Klerk launches a box kick up, which Sale get the better of, and there's a chance for Cobus Visa to set this back and set de Klerk moving again. He pops it short to Ross, and now McGinty with a little dink through, looking for Sam James to run onto it, but on this occasion Worcester reading it well, and really good work from Matt Kvesic ensures possession. Shonner then pops it back to Weir, now Chris Pannell, and the ball spun wide, and a chance for Ollie Morris, the centre, popping up on the left wing to try and thump the ball downfield and chase his own kick. Worcester up quickly here, and Sale will need to work hard to ensure they're not penalised at the breakdown, but good work from the forwards. Josh Beaumont to the fore, and Faf de Klerk can just pop the ball short to JP Duprier and let the forwards start to move through the phases a bit and little by little force their way out of their own 22. De Klerk waits at the base, just on his own 22-metre line, on the right-hand touch line, launches with that trusty left peg, a box kick which goes high, and Chris Pannell comes in and claims. Now it's Mama for Worcester, and now they have a chance to get going, but it's a knock-on by Niall Annett, not normally popping up in the outside centre channel, and the hooker spilling that ball just when it looked like Worcester might have some momentum. Frustration for Alan Solomons' side, and it'll be a scrum and a Sale put in.
Yeah, Worcester's attack's looking a bit more dangerous this second half. They're trying to play with a bit more width. I mean, to be honest, they've caused Sale's defence a couple of problems, but, a bit of poor execution, and also, sometimes the pressure people apply on the edges there, it's Yardy before it was Faf. It may not look like the right decision, but if you force a player to make a pass under pressure, it can force the error, and I think both times Sale defence has managed to come up with that error from the Worcester attack.
Put in then to Sale Sharks as we move past 10 minutes of this second half. So 50 minutes on the clock. The sleet that was falling late in this first half here at the AJ Bell tonight has fortunately relented, so decent conditions for the second half of the game. Not many cars heading across the M60 tonight. You can see lockdown is in force. The number of lights that I can look out on and see going across the flyover certainly reduced from normal. And just a lucky few of us inside the stadium from the media, the coaching staff and the support teams in and around the players. So an ever-reducing number of people able to enjoy live Gallagher Premiership Rugby. But we hope you're enjoying the coverage on Sharks Live with Ollie Lathrope, myself, Chris Malaband, and Sale Sharks' very own Simon Hammersley. Keep your questions and comments coming in through the social channels, particularly any questions for Simon about tonight or the season ahead. And we'll try and get those answered for you. Do let us know where you're tuning in from as well. Always good to know where you're hearing us. The scrum's reset again, and Faf de Klerk puts in. It's been a fairly even contest in the scrummage tonight. Neither side really able to get a forcible advantage on the other, but Faf de Klerk picks up from the base that time and spins the ball out wide. It goes on the bounce to Tom Roebuck, who does well to judge it and manages to get himself to the floor and enable the next ruck to be set up, which de Klerk can launch from. De Klerk popped short to Cobus Visa, working hard as ever, the South African. And now McGinty elects to look for some space in behind the Worcester back three, and Perry Humphreys has to go back and try and deal with this one. The ball is just going to roll over the Worcester try line. Humphreys can dot it down, and Worcester can have a drop out from their 22-metre line. Well, Simon, we saw in the first half it was a very cagey first half of the first half, and not too dissimilar, the opening exchanges of this second one.
Yeah, I completely agree. Again, territory seems to be what both teams are looking for early on. Like I said, Worcester have had a couple of attacking opportunities which they failed to take, but I think Sale will be happy with how this first 10 minutes go, and hopefully now they can build their attacking game into it.
Sam James with a big up and under, which Sale pursue in numbers and manage to win possession on the Worcester 10-metre line. Sale winning, I think, overall the battle of the box kick in this match. Generally, perhaps winning those aerial duels 60-40, as the ball is rifled wide to Tom Roebuck, who has at least had a few more touches tonight than he had the opportunity to have down at Gloucester last weekend. And looking at home at this level, the former academy right winger. Here is de Klerk trying to get Sale moving again through the long levers of JP Duprier. Rob Duprier now, no relation, in midfield, is brought down just inside the Worcester 10-metre line. Now it's Sam James trying to find a way through, but the Worcester defensive line is solid, hard to really pick a way through, as Sale have found for much of the night, only penetrating that try line on one occasion through Faf de Klerk. But perhaps the line may tire as we move later in the game. It's Worcester who've had to do more of the defending, and they're now emerging with the ball, and Chris Pannell is tackled by Faf de Klerk when it looked like he might be able to break away there, the Worcester fullback. But back we go for a penalty for holding on. Wayne Barnes giving Worcester the advantage, but we'll now go back for that infringement. Simon.
Yeah, it appears to be a real tale of two good defences, to be honest. Sale, they're trying to create opportunities, especially down the short side, but the Worcester defence is more than up to the case at the moment, and it looks like Hugard and Mama together managed to get a penalty, which Faf actually does a very good cover tackle to stop them playing with the advantage. But like I was saying, I think early on in the half, both teams relying on sort of kicking game and defence to really get them in the game, and Worcester now approaching the 22 with a lineup.
We've got a chance to catch the latest from the social media interactions with Ollie before that line out. Ollie, what have you got for us?
Yeah, a few more messages coming in, Chris. Belinda Mayrick says, "Go Sharks, watch your discipline." Beth Porritt is listening from Shropshire. And then an interesting one, Chris. I'm not sure where this has come from, but I've had this in from our social media team. I hope I pronounced this right. Farhan Berhardine, the South African international cricketer, was asked who his favourite English club is, and he said the Sale Sharks. He watched the game in Edgeley Park in 2004.
Excellent. Great to hear. Well, I'm sure as the last 17 years have passed, he'd be pleased with the ever-increasing number of South African players that Sale have acquired in that time. But it's Worcester on the attack here with Ted Hill. They're a metre short. Ted Hill burrowing for the line, and Worcester have a chance to get themselves right back into this contest. Sale desperately defending their own line here. Nick Shonett has the ball at his feet. Can Worcester force their way over here? Hill was held up just a metre or so short. Shonett in possession. Strong challenge comes in from Jono Ross. Can Worcester burrow their way through? Sale low to the ground, trying to form that wall of dark blue. Worcester still short. Hugart this time elects to spin it out. It's popped to Duncan Weir, who's brought down with a tremendous challenge from Jono Ross. Great hit from Ross. Weir sent back, but Worcester, importantly, keep possession. Hugart stands over it. Short to Kovacic, but Sale have pushed Worcester out to about 12 metres or so. Hugart goes himself. Bevan Rodd trying to bring him down, but good work from Hugart. Gets Worcester within 5 metres or so, and it's going to be another penalty to the Warriors. And Simon, first time tonight that the Sale line has looked under significant pressure.
Yeah, it looked like a brilliant line and carry from, I think it's Ollie Morris at 13. He shrugs off, I think it's AJ and Sam Hill, and then Yardy manages to make a good covering tackle. But once we restored the line, the forwards come up with some great defence close to the line. Unfortunately, I think we've given away a penalty for maybe hands in the ruck at one point, but some real physicality from the Sale forwards close to the line. But it'll be interesting to see whether Duncan Weir selects to go for posts or whether Worcester, think the momentum's changed and try and turn the screw.
Yeah, this is a tough one, isn't it, Simon, for Weir, because it's a gimme 3, but do they perhaps feel this is their opportunity to do more than that? I think Duncan Weir probably will take the points, and he indeed is setting up the kicking tee. We've got activity on the Sale bench as well, so 3 of the replacements are lined up. Byron McGuigan, Jake Cooper-Woolley and Will Cliff, and Valerie Morris-off as well. So looks like 4 Sale changes coming, both props, Faf de Klerk and I would expect Tom Roebuck. And here we go. So Duncan Weir lands the penalty. We have got 7 points between the two sides now as Weir's penalty goes over with 17 minutes played in this second half. So Morozov on for Rod, Cooper-Woolley on for Oosthuizen, Cliff on for de Klerk, and McGuigan on for Tom Roebuck. So 4 of the 8 Sale changes are made, just shy of the hour. Good shifts from all 4 of those. Bevan Rod in particular impressive tonight, but also a word for Tom Roebuck, who I think did everything that could have been expected of him this evening. As AJ McGinty restarts, and Marlon Yard almost is able to claim a surprise catch right on the left touchline. He can't quite hold on though. If he managed to hold that, he might have had a run to the line, but Yard couldn't quite hold on. He slaps his thigh in frustration. It's going to be a scrum and a Worcester put in. Simon.
Yeah, Yardy does a great chase there and just unfortunately can't quite gather the kickoff. I think as a whole, the kick chase is something we've really been focusing on and really been working on. And I think we've seen Tommy Roebuck, who's just got subbed. He's tapped a couple of back. We had Rob Dupree catching a good crossover bomb in the first half, and Yardy there. He's always a great chaser of kicks. So I think that's really been an area we've tried to develop, and it's paying off on a night like tonight.
Scrum to the Worcester Warriors then, who are yet to make their first set of changes of the night. 7 points then between the two sides, so a converted Worcester try, and it's all square again. Sale a long way yet from securing the points this evening. Work still to be done. Excellent shove though from the Sale 8. Puts pressure on the Worcester back row, but Marco Mama does well with a retreating pack in front of him to pick up possession and give Francois Hugart something to work with. Hugart's box kick up the touchline is a decent one, and he finds touch pretty much on the halfway line. And it's going to be a Sale Sharks line out. The fresh legs that have come on then, Ollie, a double change at prop. Valerie Morozov and Jake Cooper-Woolley coming on. No changes yet from the Worcester front row. Do you think that gives Sale an advantage to have the fresh shoulders of Cooper-Woolley and Morozov to push into the next scrum?
Well, you would think, Chris, wouldn't you? And I think front row is definitely one of the areas where Sale have got so much strength in depth to have these 2 players coming off the bench. And obviously Ross Harrison and Will Griff John aren't even playing, and they're 2 brilliant props. So it's definitely an area of strength. And then, of course, you've got Will Cliff, who I thought was excellent when he came on for Faf de Klerk last week. So 3 really important players to come on who can try and improve the game plan for Sale.
Here's Tom Curry bursting away from that line out, back inside to Akker van der Merwe. We've seen that move already this season. It led to a try for van der Merwe in the opening round against Northampton. Didn't quite work as well on that occasion, but Sale still making a bit of gain before possession is turned over, and Hugart can pop it short to Mama, the man born in Nigeria, who takes it into contact, and Worcester winning the penalty. And the Warriors, Simon, just getting a foothold now in this second half.
Yeah, I completely agree. A couple of penalties which Sale will be, not best pleased to give away, especially in this part of the field where Worcester are under pressure. You kind of just want to force them to exit. But unfortunately, Josh, slips up on a tackle. He's given away a high tackle, and Weir now has a chance to move them closer to the Sale 22. So I think if we can keep our discipline, the defence really does look strong. It looks pretty safe. But as it's been the case a few times this season, discipline, can ultimately change the game.
Josh Beaumont penalised on that previous occasion. And discipline really important, as Simon Hammersley says, for Sale in this last quarter of the match. 19 minutes left on the clock. Sale Sharks 13, Worcester 6. The Warriors have never won here, bar that walkover after the COVID outbreak at the end of last season. So they don't have that winning feeling when they come north. And Sale want to make sure that that statistic isn't changed by the events of the next 20 minutes or so. At the moment they have the ascendancy, but it's far from an impregnable lead. Hugart pops it short. Once more it's Mama putting in the hard yards. Duncan Weir with the pop pass finds Ted Hill. Hugart again is busy, this time to Kovacic, but the Sale defensive line solid, and Worcester struggle to really move forward over the 10-metre line. But Wayne Barnes' arm is outstretched. There's a Sale penalty coming here, but Barnes playing the advantage in case Sale are able to turn the ball over, which they are. And Will Cliff now releases John O'Ross, who looks to put on the afterburners and escape, but Wayne Barnes going back for the penalty for holding on. And this gives Sale the opportunity to relieve some of the pressure. Ollie Lathrope's got the latest on the socials for us.
Event messaging from Dave Rose, who's listening and enjoying the commentary in Newton Le Willows. Great to hear Simon Hammersley's views. Great to hear that you're listening to us, Dave, and hopefully you're enjoying the match tonight.
Thank you, Dave. Not too far away there in Newton. And I think we've got Nigel Brearley as well in New Brighton, who's also joining us. Good evening to you both. Here's hoping that, as we were saying to Paul Deacon, pre-kick-off with Colin McKevitt, that there will be the chance for fans to come back in and see some action before this season is out. Plenty of more matches and plenty more months ahead of us. So despite the current difficulties and the depression for everybody of the current rising rate of COVID, here's hoping that once we get through this period, things will get better. Now then, James Phillips is into the fray. So he comes on, number 19 for Sale, and enters for the last 17 minutes or so. So James Phillips is on. And some initial changes for Worcester as well, as they start to empty their bench a little bit. Isaac Miller into the fray at hooker for them. What will James Phillips bring to the park, Simon, do you think, in the last 17 minutes or so?
He's got a great work rate as a second row. I think it won't be anything too flash, as I dare say most second rows are, but he's really good in the nuts and bolts of the game. I think, especially against a strong team like Worcester, good set piece, very good at maul time. He's supposedly, again, I'm no maul genius, but he's supposedly very good at disrupting opposition mauls. So I think, won't be anything too crazy, but he's a great nuts and bolts player.
George Merrick is also on. He has come on for the Worcester Warriors in the second row, the former Harlequin, experienced player at this level. So Merrick on for Worcester, Miller as well. Line out for Sale. Van der Merwe throws to JP Duprier, who's been a real source of clean line out ball for Sale tonight, and he does well at the front. And the chance for Sale to rumble on with this rolling maul, which Will Cliff directs from the back. Cobus Visa, the man, taking a break as Phillips enters the fray this evening. Here is Cliff, peeling off the back of the maul, finding McGinty. McGinty almost found a soft shoulder in the right wing channel there. 5 metres or so from the line, Valerie Morozov driving it up. Now then, can Sale force their way through here? This is a decent attack with some good momentum at the moment. Couple of metres short. Tom Curry, though, is brought down close to the Worcester line. John O'Ross continues the attack. Jake Cooper-Woolley stands over Valerie Morozov. Morozov, sometimes a threat from close range, has crossed the whitewash in the past for Sale, but Sale penalised. Wayne Barnes' arm is outstretched for a knock-on the floor, and an attack that had so much promise there for the Sharks, petering out, agonisingly a couple of yards short, Simon.
Yeah, it was a great little spot on the short side from AJ and Cliffy. AJ and Byron sweep down the right-hand side. AJ gets a half tackle, gets us in this great field position, and then looks as just as Acker tries to pick it up. We're into the pick and goes where we are fairly strong. But Worcester hand just gets in there and forces the knock on.
Well, Sale will take solace from the fact that even though they haven't been able to add to their points tally, they are at least in the right part of the pitch with 15 minutes left on the clock. Ollie.
Yep, some more messages coming in, Chris. Rod Nisbet says Yard is all over it tonight. He's definitely up there as one of my favourite players. Stuart McGrath says, come on, Sale, another try, guys. Give my nerves a rest here in sunny Preston. And Derek Sutton says, good commentary listen from mid-Wales with everything crossed. So get your messages in, guys, in these last 15 minutes. What have you thought of this Sale performance? What have the Sharks done well? What could they have done better? Get your thoughts in and we'll read them out in these last 15 minutes.
Thank you, Ollie, and thank you to everyone who's continuing to contribute through the social media channels. As Ollie says, please keep those messages coming in, and always good to hear where people are joining from. And hopefully you're enjoying the commentary tonight and getting a bit of a feel for events inside the AJ Bell Stadium on a night when Sale could further cement their place in the top 4 of the Premiership table. The other matches this weekend, a top-of-the-table battle between Exeter and Bristol tomorrow. West Country derby at Sandy Park is a 4:30 kickoff. Newcastle facing Gloucester at Kingston Park at 2. And then on Sunday, it's the London derby between Harlequins and London Irish, who used the Stoop for their matches in the second half of last season, now out at Brentford Football Club's new home. So a London derby on Sunday. So some exciting matches this weekend. Another one taking place tonight, Bath against Wasps. We'll keep an eye on that one. Absolute tri-fest at the Rec, so we'll let you know how that one plays through. But the last time we checked in on that one, Wasps were leading by 45 points to 36. The clock is underway again here. It's a Worcester scrum, 5 metres from their own line, just in front of their own posts. And Hugart puts into it, and the first scrum penalty comes of the evening. It's been evenly contested in the tight up till now, but Valerie Morozov is penalised by Wayne Barnes, and Worcester get that penalty to relieve the pressure just where Sale didn't want to release it.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, Chris. We were saying about discipline moments ago, and I don't really know if that's good play from Worcester or whatnot, but we give away a fairly probably easy penalty to give away, and they can march their way out of trouble.
Latest score from the Rec, Bath 39, Wasps 52. Not the sort of score you tend to get, Simon, too often on a cold night in January. That's more your kind of end-of-season barbarian-style game, isn't it?
I know. I wonder what the conditions are down in Bath. Maybe the beast from the east hasn't hit.
Line out to Worcester. Good throw in from substitute hooker Isaac Miller, and Worcester secure possession at the back of this maul. We've got just over 14 and a half minutes to play. This game is still very much in the melting pot. Sale haven't managed to score thus far in the second half. Just one Duncan Weir penalty from Worcester, edging them closer. But the cheer that you can hear comes from the Sale players and support staff, because that ball becomes unplayable from the maul. Good work from JP Dupree, who's perhaps had his biggest game in every sense for Sale since joining tonight in securing that turnover at the maul. And Curtis Langdon can immediately enter the fray for Akker van der Merwe and pack down in the ensuing scrummage. Simon.
Yeah, as you were saying, I think JP has had a very good game. The line-out's functioned. Pardon me, from an attacking point of view, I think he's had a couple of disrupts from their line-out, and there we go, he's disrupted another maul. So, like we were saying, it takes a bit of time for some players to bed into the team, especially when they're new to not only the team, the league, the country, but, he's done it very easily by the looks of things.
JP Dupree, no relation to Rob, Dan or John Luke, or Cornell Dupree, who is on the bench tonight for the Worcester Warriors. We could have had 5 of them out there in the event tonight. No Dan or John Luke as they serve their disciplinary suspensions. John Luke will be back in a couple of weeks' time. A little bit longer until we see Dan again after he was cited against Gloucester last weekend. Now then, this scrum suddenly has become a little bit of a mess, having been rock solid for the first hour of the game. This time Wayne Barnes deciding no one's at fault. Lots of new faces in there as Sale field a brand new front row. Also changes in the Worcester front row as well, which have seen Isaac Miller come on to hook, but Nick Shonett, their South African born but English qualified prop, is still out there, as is Ethan Waller, veteran of over 100 Premiership matches, formerly of Northampton. So Jonathan Thomas, the recently appointed head coach at Worcester, not deciding to completely change his front row, at least not yet, as the clock ticks down towards the final 10 minutes. Will Cliff will have this put in for Sale. All about game management from here for the Sharks to try and see this game out. First and foremost, they've got to win it before they think about trying to win it with style or with tries. Here is the put in from Will Cliff. Clean heel from Curtis Langdon. Cliff now feeds Sam Hill. And a strong challenge in midfield sees AJ McGinty upended. Worcester up quickly with blitz defence, and that's terrific from the Worcester three-quarters. They absolutely saw the opportunity there, and Ollie Moritz crashing into the tackle really changed the game. It was Sam Hill who came into first receiver, AJ McGinty moving outside him, and Ollie Morris absolutely read the move. Worcester then in quickly, winning the penalty, and Duncan Weir has the chance to line this penalty up from straight in front of the sticks, halfway between the Sale 10-metre line and the halfway line.
Yeah, I think Ollie Morris has really come into this game in the second half. He had that barnstorming run from the 22 that nearly got himself over the Sale try line about 10 minutes ago or so, and then that's great defence. He reads AJ coming out the back, makes a great hit back to his feet, and they force the penalty. So, you know, it's good defence from Worcester, and I think Sale will just want to, you know, take the sting out of this Worcester team a bit. If Weir does get this kick, probably kick long again to, I would have thought, to Yardy's side. Fingers crossed he can get to this one like he did the last one, and then just kind of put a bit of pressure on Worcester down in their own 22.
Duncan Weir then standing over this penalty. He'll fancy his chances, the Scottish number 10. Here he comes, right-footed. Weir launches that towards the sticks. He has a careful look at it, but he's pulled it. And Duncan Weir has missed the opportunity, and that could be crucial for the Warriors with just 10 minutes or so to go. And it looked like Weir was a little hesitant as he struck it. He had a good look at it. I don't think it missed by much, but that would have brought Worcester back within 4 as Mark Thomas comes on for the Warriors to replace Ethan Waller. How important do you think that miss could be, Ollie Lathrope?
It could be crucial, Chris. I think there has been a bit of a sea change in this second half. Worcester have definitely come into the game a bit more, and if you kick that, it's 4 points behind just to try with just over 10 minutes to go. So it's an important miss from Duncan Weir, but Sale probably just need to get their composure back a little bit here. Worcester have started to control the game a little bit more, but nothing to worry about. Still leading with about 10 minutes to go and still a chance to pull away further.
Gareth Simpson is on at scrum half for Worcester, I think, as that ball is launched high and Sam James fields it for the Sharks. All about smoothness of execution for Sale from here on. Fielding the high balls, not knocking on, and that's exactly what's happened there as that maul went to ground. Knock on from JP Dupree just after we were saying what a good game he'd had. He makes a mistake there, which is going to give an opportunity from the scrum for Worcester to put the pressure on. And the type of error that Paul Deacon just won't want to see made in these remaining stages. Simpson is not on, my apologies. It is still Francois Hugard at scrum half to try and marshal this one through. And Simon Hammersley, some pressure there that Sale put on themselves that they didn't need to do.
Yeah, I think, as you were saying, you know, especially in these last 10 minutes, you just want him to exit. Jamesy takes a great catch. You know, he set up a solid ruck, try and play a phase to probably open the angle up a bit for Cliffy at 9. And, you know, we make a little silly error, which is disappointing. Worcester now, you know, a chance to launch a set-piece attack.
The clock says 9 minutes to play here at the AJ Bell. Sale Sharks 13, Worcester 6. Worcester have stayed in this game despite the fact that Sale looked like they were finding their real mojo in the second half of the first half. It's been a bit of a dogfight in this second period, and Sale have not managed to add to their score since the interval. Here's Hugart to Weir to Ollie Morris, battling his way through the midfield, but on this occasion Morris not able to maintain possession, knocking on, and Sale have the chance to clear that away through Rob Dupree. Takes play back up to the halfway line. Scrap on the floor goes in Sale's favour. Worcester penalised for holding on, and after Ollie Morris couldn't take that ball and retain it as he tried to burst through the Sale defence on their 22, the dynamic quickly shifts after Rob Dupree's clearance, and now Sale have a penalty on halfway and the chance for Sam James to pin Worcester back into their 22.
Yeah, it's another great kick chase from Sale. You know, Jono and Tom Curry, the first two there, chasing down Rob Dupree's kick, and then Pannell, to be honest, is left with few options. Tom Curry makes a great tackle, and then Jono straight over the ball. So, as I was saying earlier, the importance of the kick chase and how much Sale have been working on it, again, paying off there.
Sam Dugdale is on, and it's the big frame of JP Defrere who comes off, which I think will probably mean Josh Beaumont goes up into the second row for the last 7 minutes or so. Fair shift this from Josh. It looks like he might play the full 80 minutes, which is good going for someone who's played so little rugby for such a long time. But Beaumont showing his fitness still out there as Cliff pops the ball short from Jono Ross's successfully won line out. Cliff again starts to go into the three-quarter line. Sale will have an eye on the clock. Can they play the phases, keep possession, force a Worcester error perhaps at the Jackal, which might give AJ McGinty a kickable penalty to take his side more than one score away from their opponents. Cliff again at the base as Sale move laterally and try and move themselves towards the Worcester 22. We're currently halfway between the Worcester 22 and the 10-metre line. Here is Sam Hill trying to force his way through the Worcester cover. Cliff again waits and pops it short to McGinty, who elects to chip over the top. Brilliant work from McGinty. That's really nice. Can Sale now take full advantage of it? McGinty again with a chip through. Pick up by Byron McGuigan, wide on the right wing. Rob Dupree is into the ruck as well. Sale going through the phases nicely here and starting to show a little bit more adventure through the boot of AJ McGinty. Josh Beaumont drives in. Morozov in support. Now Sam Dugdale on as a substitute in the back row. Jono Ross stands over it. Another Sale try here would surely take this out of Worcester's hands. Sale about 10 metres short. Beaumont, try scorer last week, with the pick and go. Makes another yard or thereabouts. Morozov and Rod in support. Sale about 7 metres short. Sam Hill drives in. This is attritional play from the Sharks, and now it's Curry taking Sale within 5 metres. No hurry for the Sharks, of course. This is all running the clock down for Paul Deacon's men. Morozov with the pick and go, just a couple of metres away from the line, the Russian. He is forced back. Jono Ross standing over it. Now Curtis Langdon on the drive. 5 minutes left on the clock. Sale 7 points to the good. Curry goes on the blind side. Tom Curry a metre short. Is held up. The Worcester defence in retreat. Sale getting closer and closer. Can they find a way through? Right by the protective piece around the post. Langdon burrows in to try and see if he can force the ball down against it. Desperate defence from the Warriors. Sale inches short. James Phillips is there. Will Cliff elect to try and bring it out? No, he won't. Jono Ross, is he there? The skipper gets it down, and Jono Ross completes a really solid forward effort in forcing the ball over the line, and that score ought to be enough to see Sale to victory tonight. They move into a 12-point lead with the conversion to come. It's Sale Sharks 18, Worcester 6.
Yeah, it's brilliant patience from the forwards there. to get us into that position. AJ puts in a lovely chip and chase. And I think Sam James puts in a little grubber kick, which Byron regathers, gets us close to the line, and then the forwards, I think, must go through 15, 20 phases, keeping the patience, not fumbling the ball, going as a unit. And it looks like Jono, supported by, looks like maybe Filsey and Jake Cooper-Woolley, pushed him over for a key try, which hopefully will see us win the game.
Well, conversion to come, and the clock's still ticking, of course. So AJ McGinty can take his time over this one. 3 Worcester changes. Gareth Simpson and Jamie Shilcock are readied, as is Richard Powell from them, but it's too little too late, you'd think, for the Warriors. That try, though, crucial for Sale, just when they were starting to look under a bit of pressure, as McGinty lines up the conversion and successfully lands it to take the Sale lead out to 14 points with just 3 minutes left to play. 20 points to 6, the Sale Sharks lead. Let's catch up on the latest on the socials with Ollie.
Well, Chris, we may potentially have a correct score prediction here. Not long to go now, but Laura White guessed 20 points to 6 to Sale at the start of the game. So one to watch out for in these final moments. A few more shout-outs as well. Steve Walker says up the Sharks. He's watching in Lancashire. And Morris Aldo Williams is listening from South Africa. So another listener from South Africa. Hope you're enjoying the commentary, Morris.
Good to have Morris with us, and well done to Laura. If it does finish 20 points to 6, a correct score prediction in a rugby match is not an easy thing to do. So we will keep a close eye on that. And Laura certainly well tuned in to likely events. But here is a penalty for Worcester Warriors. Perhaps they're not done just yet, as Sale are penalised at the breakdown. Duncan Weir runs forward. I think he's going to kick to the corner. Worcester's first aim here will be to try and get within 7 for a losing bonus point. So a converted try here would take it to 2013 and might give Worcester one more play to try and secure an unlikely draw. But Sale will be keen to ensure neither of those things happens. 5 metre line out then, with 2 minutes left on the clock for Sale to try and see out, as forward runs Isaac Miller to try and ensure that his side start by securing this ball. Justin Clegg will be a likely target, and it is Clegg who runs forward and claims that line out for the Warriors. Can they get the drive on? Sale will be desperate to ensure this maul goes nowhere. The light blue shirts of Worcester push hard against the dark blue shirts of Sale. Initially, Sale's defence is good, but Worcester start to move it now. Important that the Warriors start to spin around as Sale try and drag them to the touchline. But this is a good drive from the Warriors, and Sale are in some trouble here. Can Worcester get this ball down? Wayne Barnes is in close proximity. He's having a good look at this. There's applause from the Worcester bench. We haven't had Claire Hodnett involved tonight, the TMO, and at the moment she is yet to be summoned by Wayne Barnes. Barnes is in discussion with Jamie Leahy, who is our touch judge tonight. Now then, there's a yellow card coming, and the yellow is given, and Wayne Barnes, let's just see what his decision is here. Tom Curry, I think it is, and a penalty try is given. So Wayne Barnes gives the penalty try. It's Tom Curry who is penalised for dragging down the maul. Penalty try given by Wayne Barnes, which of course doesn't need to be converted as per the rules, and it's 2013 with 50 seconds to go on the clock. Simon.
Yeah, it's just made it an interesting final couple of plays. I think Worcester obviously added the backs into the maul, and that seemed to give them a bit of extra impetus. I can't say I know exactly what Tom's done, but I assume it's for collapsing the maul. And Wayne Barnes thinks Worcester were going to score, so kind of rightly so, gives the penalty try. And so just got to make sure they take the sting out of this last attack from Worcester. You know, you don't want them to give away a penalty or something like that and Worcester get their field position.
Jake Cooper-Woolley's got an injury. He's limping off. Cooney Oosthuizen, who didn't look like he was moving a huge amount better, is back on for the last 44 seconds or so, but he's into a bit of a trot now, the South African. So Oosthuizen on, Cooper-Woolley off, 40 seconds left on the clock. Worcester in possession, know that they can't afford to make a mistake. It still would be a fairly heroic effort from the Warriors to get a draw from this game from this position, because they're on their own 22 with less than 30 seconds left on the clock. They're going to just try and build slowly out of defence, keep possession, and then try and wait for a gap. The risk is as soon as they kick the ball out that the whistle will go. So unless Sale infringe, Worcester have got a long old journey from their 22 to the Sale line. Thus far, they've kept it short in the forwards. The Sale mission will be clear. Force a knock on or drive the Worcester Warriors forwards into touch. It's back with Duncan Weir, who kicks up the touchline. Now then, that is it. Wayne Barnes blows his ball. What a curious end to the game. The ball went back to Duncan Weir, who kicked the ball out, and it seemed that Worcester were just happy to take the losing bonus point. I thought that was rather strange. I'd have thought Simon Hammersley it was worth Duncan Weir having one last shot at trying to score a try from 60 metres.
Yeah, I personally thought they were going to have a go. They obviously, maybe, Sale's defence has been on top for a lot of the game, so they maybe thought, you only get one extra point for the draw. We'll guarantee ourselves that losing bonus point, and I suppose any points you get away from home are fairly valuable. But Sale will be very pleased to get the win, back-to-back wins for the first time this season, and we move on to Europe next week with a bit of confidence in the team.
Well, I think the Sale players look just as surprised as some of the Worcester ones that Duncan Weir elected to kick that ball out at the end. But as you say, Simon, perhaps the losing bonus point was seen as something they didn't want to squander, having got themselves the penalty try, just 30 seconds or so earlier. So Worcester's fallow record here at the AJ Bell continues. That's now no wins from 10 attempts when they have come to Manchester. The only victory, of course, being that walkover at the end of last season. But from a Sale perspective, it's back-to-back wins for the first time this season and a further ascent up the Gallagher Premiership table. Excellent outcome, Simon, from a team who are made to work hard for that victory tonight.
Yeah, I think both Worcester and Sale really did defend well. So, it made for quite an attritional game. I think two real moments of a bit of spark. AJ chipping over there to get behind that Worcester defensive line to set up the second try. And in the first half, we had Faf shooting down the short side when no Pillar was there. So I think a couple of bits of magic from the halfbacks, got us those couple of tries. And overall, Sale will be pleased anytime you get a win against a tough team like Worcester. You're pleased with the 4 points and you move on to next week.
Yes, next week, of course, European action for Sale. The next two games, of course, are back into Europe with Edinburgh and Toulon once more the opposition. But for now, it's the chance to form the traditional tunnel to clap the Worcester players through as they come off. Ollie Lathrope, you've been watching on, of course, throughout this game tonight. Did you see progression in that Sale performance from the victory at Gloucester last week?
Oh, I think absolutely, Chris. It was much more of an 80-minute performance tonight. I think last week the first half wasn't great, but there was some progression on that front tonight. It was more of a complete performance. There was perhaps a 10-minute period in that second half where there might have been some nerves, but overall a much improved performance and a chance to go into Europe with some momentum before we come back to the Premiership at the end of the month.
Well, commiserations to Laura White, who predicted Sale Sharks 20, Worcester 6. It looked like, for all money, Laura was going to be successful in that tonight, but the late Worcester penalty try, I'm afraid, meaning Laura unlucky, but a great effort nonetheless in coming so close. The other match tonight is down at the Rec. It was an absolute try-fest. Ollie, bring us up to date with how that one finished.
So it finished 52 points to 44 to Wasps. So another big win for them. It sounds like a pretty cracking game. So definitely go and watch those highlights if you have a chance after this one. And another win for Wasps. So having a good start to the season.
Yes, Lee Blackett's side are really flying at the moment. And I guess, Simon Hammersley, even when Wasps are trailing, and of course that was very clear here when Sale had the ascendancy for much of the match just a few weeks ago here, Wasps found a way to come back and win. And tonight, Bath with a decent half-time lead, that was soon turned round. Is this all about a real winning mindset, do you think, that Lee Blackett is building at Wasps?
Yeah, I think they've definitely got some good momentum. And they've got a lot of good players. They play a good brand of rugby, that can score tries quickly. You've got Umaga at 10 or Atkinson, who played against us. You've got a variety of riches in the centres. Paolo Dogwu's playing well at 13. I'm not sure if he was on the wing tonight. You've got Josh Bassett, Zach Kibarigi, Minozzi at fullback, Sopawanga. They've got a lot of talent in those outside back channels. And I think, that creates games that, you maybe concede 44 points, but you score 52. So you definitely get the bonus point for that.
And Simon, I guess as we look at the season ahead now, last year, once Saracens had the points deduction, Exeter were by far and away the strongest side in the league. They won the league at a canter. By the end of the season, the table perhaps was slightly misleading because Exeter could effectively field a much weakened side for the last few weeks. With the form that Wasps are showing, and with Bristol ever developing under Pat Lam, and now Sale, of course, with the back-to-back victories, do you feel that Exeter's stranglehold on the top of the table is perhaps a weaker one this season?
Yeah, I think Exeter is still, they're probably the team to beat realistically. They're a top quality team with great players all over the pitch. I think, like you said, Bristol are developing well. Wasps have had a great start. I think they had a couple of losses early on, but since then, they're winning everything. They won well in Europe as well. And, you like to think of ourselves being in the conversation. And I think we've had a few hit and miss performances, like we said, yet to get the full 80, although that was a much better performance. And back-to-back wins in the Premiership. I think next time out in the Premiership are at Welford Road against Leicester, who are, a rejuvenated side this season. So I think it'll be a tough trip to Welford Road, especially with guys like George Ford playing as well as they are. But confidence will be high. And when we get back into the Premiership, we'll be trying to make it 3 in a row.
Yeah, Leicester and then Bristol away, Simon, before Bath come to the AJ Bell on February the 12th, another Friday night match which you can hear here on Sharks Live. So a couple of tough away trips back-to-back after the European break.
Yeah, I think Jono actually said that to me a couple of days ago in the gym. Usually it goes home and away, so you kind of not get respite at home, but you return to your natural habitat almost, whereas instead we're going to take on a good Leicester team and then a very good Bristol team who, again, have got a variety of riches in all positions. So irrespective of the people they pick in the squad that week, it'll be a tough game down at Ashton Gate. And I remember last year, we were disappointed how we went down there. We went there, playing well and really didn't put in much of a performance. So we'll be hoping this season, to put some wrongs right down at Ashton Gate.
Yes, I remember that game. It was early last season, wasn't it, where the team struggled a bit for rhythm on that night. I remember Cam Neild scoring, but that being the only real consolation from that trip. Ollie, just reflecting over the 80 minutes tonight, which of the areas do you think that might have pleased Paul Deacon the most?
I think the set piece was strong. I know we've spoken before, Chris, about how the line out hasn't always gone to plan, but I think JP Dupree, Cobus Visa, Josh Beaumont were all excellent in that area, and I think Acker's throw-in was good as well. So I think the line out was strong. The scrum was much better than last week. As you said earlier on, there was a bit of a struggle at scrum time against Gloucester, but that definitely improved. And I think Sale were pretty clinical on the whole, took that chance at the end there. We've seen a couple of times this season, especially against Wasps, where the chances were there and they weren't taken. So I think that'll please Paul Deacon as well.
Simon, just a word on Josh Beaumont, your old friend from Durham University days and obviously your teammate now. How big an effort is that from him to come and put a full 80-minute shift in just his second game back? Yeah,
it's obviously a brilliant effort. And I think, being out for that long, it's tough to have match fitness after 14 months out. But, he played a great game at number 8 as well, a position where you said earlier he hasn't actually played that much recently for Sale. So, it's very impressive for Josh to get another 80 minutes. And I think with injuries like that, it's all about building confidence in your own body. So although I'm sure he'll be sore in the morning, 80 minutes under the belt is, brilliant for him and hopefully gives him confidence in the knee to kick on to next week.
Couple of European rounds to come. Do you think Paul Deacon's philosophy of consistency of selection will continue through those 2 rounds, or would you expect that some of the players who've had a little bit less game time of late might get their chances against Toulon and Edinburgh?
I think there probably will be some rotation. This year, especially with the removal of the Prem Cup during the season early on, you don't really have weeks to be able to rotate your squad, and it is such a crucial thing to keep as many of your squad healthy for as long as possible. So I think definitely the guys who've been on the bench tonight, hopefully they'll be involved in some way. And then, there's some other youngsters, Aaron Reid on the wing, you got Connor Doherty at 13, some other great guys who hopefully will get their chance in the first team and, hopefully put their hand up for selection if they play well.
Simon Hammersley giving his thoughts there, as he has done throughout tonight on Sharks Live. Thank you for joining us through Facebook, Twitter or YouTube, and hopefully you found Simon's interjections interesting and given you a flavour of life inside the Sale camp. It's been great to have Simon joining us by Zoom, as well as Ollie Lathrope, one of our regulars on the commentary mic here at Sharks Live. We're just waiting to get some Sale Sharks reaction post-match. Colin McKevitt is there pitch side to grab one of the Sale players or coaching staff, hopefully shortly, to give us some reactions. So as soon as that person is available, we will cut straight to Colin. Let's just take a quick look at the table at the end of tonight's game. Exeter still out in front, played 5-1 with 20 points, 4 wins and 1 defeat. Top the table, Bristol are right behind them. Those two play tomorrow at Sandy Park, so something we'll have to give then. Bristol 5 played and 20 points as well. Then Sale up to third now. Played 6, won 4 and lost 2 with 19, and Wasps in fourth, having won tonight with the same record as Sale. 4 wins and 2 defeats and 19 points. So Sale up to third, just a point behind the top 2, although Exeter and Bristol with that game in hand. And although, Simon, I'm sure in the camp you'd want to win every game, if someone had offered you all 4 wins and 2 defeats from your first 6 of this season, would you have taken it?
Yeah, I think so. I think to be lying third after 6 rounds, which hopefully we will be, that's a brilliant start to the season. There's been games where we probably could have won, for example, the Wasps game, the Newcastle game, but equally I'm sure Gloucester fans would maybe think that Gloucester game was one that they should have won. So yeah, I think, it's worked out fairly well. We're into third in the table, and I think, especially for, as Ben Curry said in his interview earlier, I think people had sort of felt that we'd let Deeks down, as he'd moved into the top job role, and we maybe hadn't put the performances in for him. So I think to get back-to-back wins, not only as a playing group but also to demonstrate to him what we're capable of as a playing team, is brilliant. And we go into Europe and then back into the Prem with a lot of confidence. Yes,
it certainly looks a very different dynamic with the 2 wins that have been earned, doesn't it? After the 3 defeats on the spin, the disappointment of the home defeat against Wasps and the 2 in Europe. I'm sure there were some difficult conversations in the camp, but the back-to-back wins since have certainly shifted momentum, and regardless of how Europe goes over the next 2 rounds, when the Premiership kicks back in again, as you say, Simon, with that trip to Welford Road in 3 weeks, Sale are going to be right in the mix and in the area of the table, which I'm sure everyone at the club hoped they'd be and wanted them to be. Josh Beaumont is going to be our post-match interviewee in just a few minutes' time. We know that he's on his way down there, but before that, Colin McKevitt is with Paul Deacon right now.
Ollie, Chris, thank you so much. I'm here with Deeks. Thank you for joining us. Give us a little bit of a quick prognosis of that. I know there's a lot of analyst stuff to go through, but from what you can bring out of that, can you tell us how you feel about that?
Well, firstly, happy to get the win. Spoke before the game about us losing our last 2 home games, so it's good to get our first under my leadership, if you like, but a lot to improve on. It was a great looking game, and we've got to be better than we were tonight if we want to get to where we want to get to. But having said that, we backed up from last week. We got the job done in the end, got our 4 points. But like I say, a lot to improve on.
Obviously, I'm no rugby expert, that's why I'm on this side of the fence, not on your side of the fence there. Discipline-wise, was that better for you? Was it some improvement though? Did it get better for you? Did you think that was less penalty-driven, or did the penalties in the wrong places?
Yeah, I think probably discipline-wise we were okay, but not discipline with the ball. I mean, too many drops. We spoke before the game about that was a real focus area for us, and again, we just let the pressure off Worcester. Fair play to Worcester, I thought they played well. They battled hard and slowed our ball down. We couldn't get any flow to our attack tonight, which is disappointing and something we need to look at.
Well, this is it. I mean, when you sort of Jono takes those big hits to get a couple of yards in, it seems then everything else seems to move forward. Everybody, when you get that go forward ball, it seems to galvanise everybody behind it, and then you're going forward all of a sudden. Is that something that you think the lads need to realise a bit more, that they can?
Yeah, it's easier said than done.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah.
We always want quick ball. We want momentum in our attack. We want to go forward, but like I said, Worcester made it difficult for us in that area tonight. We knew they would. They're a real dogged team, so we weren't surprised by that. But we created some opportunities, and drop some crucial balls at crucial times.
Look, I think it makes a massive difference when this place isn't shouting and screaming loud. That there is a drive there. That I keep going on. I get stick from those guys talking about the 16th man all the time, but it does make a difference, doesn't it? But we've still come out with a win there, so it doesn't. There is a sense of but we still won though, haven't we? We've still come out with a win.
Exactly. No game's easy in this competition. No game's easy, and like I've just said, Worcester made it hard for us tonight, and we got over the line in the end, that bit is definitely pleasing.
That's it. It's a win from home. New year. It's the way we want to be. So it's a good sign, isn't it? That's great.
Yeah. A good start to the year.
Absolutely. Thanks, Deeks. Much appreciated. We'll let you be. Thanks. It's getting cold here. So thank you very much. Cheers. Cool. Right. Actually, I'm going to carry on because Josh is coming in as well. So let me just set this to Josh level as well. How you doing, mate? Welcome back. Thanks. Was that a full 80? That was a full 80.
That was full 80, yeah.
Full 80.
Yeah.
How do you feel fresh?
Yeah, I felt alright actually. I was not expecting to play the full 80, but they kept asking me with about 30 to go high feeling, and I felt pretty good, so I was happy to carry on.
And for us, I mean, obviously, the score, you've been up there with us for so long, we feel great seeing you out there. We're gutted that you're not there, but we're pretty happy that you're here so much. Hammers was commentating from home with us today as well, and we said to him, obviously, after last week you scored that try, so we were saying it's a good thing that commentators gets you into that zone. For you, what was the big take home for you for this game today? How did you feel about it as a team as well? How are the lads feeling about it?
Yeah, look, it wasn't perfect from us. It was pretty scrappy, and we made hard work of it. And you got to give some credit to Worcester with that. They're a pretty physical outfit, and we were not that clinical in that second half. Played a game in the wrong areas at times, and but a big motivation for us during the week was to back up wins in the Premiership, and also we've lost 2 under bounce at home here at the AJ Bell, so it's the Premiership, it's midwinter, you're going to have to grind some wins out, and that's what we did tonight.
As I said, we did win this game after all, do you know what I mean? It's not, we shouldn't be feeling pretty gutted about it. You might want to, you look at Worcester and you see where they are on the table, you might think, oh yeah, we can go for that. A win's a win though, isn't it? So
yeah, it is, yeah, and it's probably a sign of where the squad's come from and where it's going to. The fact that we're happy with the win, don't get me wrong, but we know there's more in us, and so I think that's hugely exciting for us as a squad. That we're not content with kind of our performance out there, and we know we can do better things out on the pitch.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. It's not necessarily, it's not a sense of arrogance, that, isn't it? It's the belief in self. That's what you're trying to say, isn't it? We are better than that, and we know we're better than that. And yeah, I guess you can feel disappointed if you're not smashing it like 4 or 5 tries a time, I guess. The fans weren't here today. That you must have noticed that.
Yeah, you do definitely. Just in those periods where, if you camped on in the 22 defending, the fans will be getting behind you, and then the opposite end of the pitch as well. So it's strange for me personally, because I've I had a bit of it last week away at Gloucester, especially down at Kingston, where it's usually pretty loud, and then this week it is what it is. Once you're in the middle of it, you get used to it, and I just can't wait. Hopefully, further down this season that we get some fans back here.
Brilliant. Well, listen, thank you for joining us. Full 80, so 80 every week then, by the looks of it now. So welcome back as well. It was great to see you out there. Thank you very much.
Thanks
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Josh. So there you go, folks. Thank you for joining us today at Sale Sharks Live. We've absolutely loved every minute of your tweets and all your comments and things like that. Yeah, absolutely. And there you go. These guys miss you terribly. We want you back as soon as we can allow you back in here. We cannot wait. But in the meantime, we need you to make as much noise as you can at home. So, game's not over. We still need to hear how you feel today. Tell us about where you are watching from, where you are from, what you want to see next. Tell us about the next game, where you're going to be, and how you're going to be watching Sale Sharks. In the meantime, thanks to everybody. Thanks to Hammers. Thanks to Chris. Thanks to Ollie. Thanks to everybody. And thank you for tuning in to Sale Sharks Live.